he's cool. Mom, please stop bullying that guy. It's fine. Not a joke. Not a joke. Not a joke. None of what I just said was a joke. Every single syllable was a real thing.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
That was bad. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but it was bad. There it is. Hold on. Let me change that. That was bad. I admit it. I'm not sorry.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Happy Monday, and thank you to the Pittsburgh Steelers for giving us something to talk about. Thank you to the Kansas City Royals for not having a game tonight so we can talk about them. Thank you to you for listening to tonight's edition of Almost Entirely Sports. We've got our regular Monday spot back here. Oh, and also thank you to the Phoenix Suns for absolutely nothing. We'll have our usual Monday chat with Matt Derrick at 8. We're going to do our shot clock reviews at 9 tonight. Both of those things are obviously always one of my favorite features on the show on a regular basis. And the whole gang is here. Rudy Salazar starting the show off with a bang. By a bang, I mean a yawn. And I get it, man. I get it. It's a long...
The weekend was exhausting.
You had a long weekend.
It was a long weekend.
You were... And Beard's on the other side of the glass. Rudy, you were beaten down by manual labor.
Yep. Saturday and Sunday.
I was beaten down by Phoenix Suns basketball. Like, we all have our crosses to bear. Beard was beaten down by the fact that, his basketball team just now hired their first ever black head coach. I mean, and congratulations again to the Boston Celtics.
Were you hacked?
When do you think
Better be late than never.
When do you guys think that joke is going to stop being funny? Because I'm still pretty tickled by it, if I'm being honest.
I don't know, maybe in 2042?
That's kind of whenever they hire their second black coach in NBA history.
Well,
maybe then it'll be
not.
something.
And I'm still going to ask if you were hacked.
Let's not get
As you
crazy now. Depending on how this goes, could be one and only, right?
That's also, yeah, absolutely. So a couple of kind of interesting things today. We'll get into a whole bunch of stuff. The shot clock reviews are great because it can get into all the things that aren't, larger sports topics. But some fun and unfun things, obviously, from the weekend. I want to talk about the Royals kind of coming up on the trade deadline a little bit. We still got some time to work through that, and we got a pretty full slate here over the course of the week. It just depends on how many games the NBA Finals go. But I just feel like, I need to at least give everybody kind of a peek in just to know, I'm wearing my all-black Suns hat today because I wanted to, put forward some good vibes, but also be dressed for a funeral if that's what it takes tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rough one.
Yeah.
It was a rough one. A game that I believe the Suns shot 2 3-pointers in the second quarter, or in the third quarter, I mean. I believe they did not make one for about 20-ish minutes of game clock.
Crews are overrated. Run the football.
Devin Booker, walking bucket. Everybody else. What?
And foul. Walking foul.
I mean, who's to say? Look, Chris Paul had the most egregious. Chris Paul had the most egregious foul of the night. If you want to do foul talk, you can at least save that for him. But somebody had tweeted at all three of us, I think, shortly after the game of just like, hey, does someone need to check on Josh? And I think between Beards and the tweeter and myself, we all kind of figured that I'm fine in the same way that the dog drinking the coffee and the house on fire is fine.
Yeah, you're totally fine.
I'm fine that, like, what else am I going to do about it, than just sit here in this house and see what happens. But I wanted to put this out here first as well. I believe I said on this show the day after they went up 2-0, I think I said for the first time, I actually genuinely believe that the Phoenix Suns are going to win the NBA Finals. And then they lost 3 straight.
First time and last time those words were spoke.
I'm not superstitious.
Just a little.
But I am a little stitious. And I will say this also, equally honestly. We sit here right now today. This is not an attempt at I'm acknowledging that I'm hoping for a reverse jinx here. But as of right now, I do not believe the Phoenix Suns are going to win the NBA Finals. And maybe that's what they needed, right? Maybe they've got to be the underdog, although it does look like Scott Foster's going to ref Game 6. And I still believe Chris Paul has not won a game in the playoffs refereed by Scott Foster. The Suns, I think, won one without Chris Paul on the floor.
This is correct.
Maybe that's the plan. Maybe
Well-
Booker can go for 80. I don't know.
The streak's got to end at some point, right? Like odds are,
Yeah, when Chris Paul retires.
That's kind of I think
odds are at some point in his career he will win a game. Streaks were meant to end eventually.
Right. So do you think that like Scott Foster's going to referee a 76ers game next year, maybe, and he'll break it then? Whenever the Suns trade Chris Paul for Ben Simmons?
I'm just saying there's a chance you get game 6. Now, if he also referees game 7, you're not winning 2 in a row. So
That's true.
You just go ahead and you just chalk your loss up now. But what you got to believe is right now is that the streak's got to end at some point. Why not tomorrow?
What I'm hoping is that Scott Foster is because Chris Paul in these playoff games. Do you know what the record is, Rudy, off the top of your head?
For some reason, with Scott Foster,
Yes, Chris
I
Paul
was
versus
going to
Scott
say
Foster.
he's 0-12.
I was going to say 0-13.
Okay, so whatever it is there in the low teens or whatever. What I'm hoping is that Scott Foster has roughly a dozen games of sort of all of this built up.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he makes an absolutely egregious call in favor of Chris Paul and the Suns in these finals, that ends up handing them game 6, that will go, well, look, I mean, it wasn't, certainly didn't do that on purpose, because it's Scott Foster and he hates Chris Paul. So my hope is that all of that bad juju is pointed into game 6. And then we finally get the redemption, both for Scott Foster and for Chris Paul.
Bring out Tim Donaghy while we're at it.
Could not hurt me worse right now. Very difficult to hurt me worse at this point.
Okay, they have after the Clippers game, and I don't know, this was the one where Chris Paul set out.
Right, COVID
The
protocols
team
and
won.
whatnot.
He had lost his first 11 straight games in which Foster had officiated. So
Didn't Scott Foster, did he do game 3 this year?
Well,
in the finals,
that's
also?
what I was going to ask. I don't know if he's done any other finals games. So it's either 0-11 and 12 games or 0-12 and 13 games, with the one win technically coming when he did not play.
I'm nervous. And and there's some like bad takes that are going on that I don't enjoy. And I don't really want to even shoot them all down
He
because
did do
nobody
game
listening
3.
right now. Okay, so it is 12 then?
Yep, 0-12.
Nobody
Chris Paul
listening.
teams are 1-12, and then the last 13 playoff games officiated by Scott Foster.
Nobody listening right now really needs me to break down some of like the bad Devin Booker opinions that are happening on Twitter right now. So I'm going to move on to the Chiefs adjacent things.
You mean like the fact that he's Kobe?
What? What are you doing?
I don't know, I was going the opposite direction of whatever you were going.
Oh, okay. No, because he literally like today there was like a clip of him saying like, "Don't call me Kobe."
Right.
I'm not Kobe.
No, he's Devin Booker.
He's better than Kobe.
Duh.
I'll be tweeting
Hang
out.
on!
I'll be tweeting out my list of players who are better than Kobe
Did
after
Kobe
the show.
Bryant ever go undefeated in the bubble?
Beards? Did he?
I don't
Did
think
he?
so.
Sure didn't.
Exactly.
Did Kobe ever have to beat Giannis in the finals?
The answer is no.
He sure didn't.
Oh boy, did I think you caught a break the other night when I saw Antetokounmpo was out, and then realized it was Thanos.
Yeah,
Oh!
that's definitely his real name. Yeah, no, that I mean, I tweeted at the
You
time.
can't
you know,
have two Antetokounmpos on the same team. That's just not fair.
I tweeted at the time that maybe they had to just hold Giannis out also just as a precautionary measure. That would have been good. I mean, Booker getting that shot off at the end. Anyone on the Suns shooting a 3 for, again, like the middle 70% of the game or whatever, that would have been great. Chris Paul holding on to the basketball over these last several games would have been great. I mean, a number of things could have gone better for the Suns.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
they have not over these last 3 games, and I'm in a terrible mood because of it.
It's true.
So I'm going to take that energy into something that I, have a much better mood for, have much more foresight about, much more optimistic about, much cheerier. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs edge rushers, huh?
They're good.
Does that seem like a place you guys want to kick off?
Absolutely.
I was going to
Chris
ask if you thought they
Jones.
should draft another running back in the first round.
So Melvin Ingram, the former I'm just going to keep moving. Melvin Ingram, the former Chargers defensive
Just like a running
end.
back. Keep moving.
I literally almost pushed the off or talkback button on my microphone instinctively in hopes of turning your microphone off. And I don't have that kind
There's
that
a bunch
type
of knobs
power.
down there. Just start turning them. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Doing that for a while, actually. Just trying to get the headphones right. So, Melvin Ingram had visited with the Chiefs pretty early on in the offseason. And he's been a guy whose name has been around Kansas City now since that visit. We talked about it with Verderam on Friday. Like, they had a good visit. And usually whenever a veteran is not signing yet, he's waiting for a price tag that fits, or he's just trying to, put off some of that off-season work that he doesn't really want to have to do with the team. Yeah, there are lots of reasons for a veteran towards the end of his career to either wait for another opportunity or to wait for the perfect situation, whatever it may be. And then so today, Melvin Ingram signs with the Steelers. We do not have a number yet on his contract. I do look forward to seeing what that number is. I think it's going to be super interesting. Yep. Maybe some people will have some Bashad Breeland-esque feelings whenever they see the number for it. I'm guessing it's probably going to be somebody was sort of projecting somewhere in the $2 to $4 million range. That's something that I would have done pretty easily. I also would have done that for Bashad Breeland right there in that same range. So whatever. I mean, look, I'm relatively agnostic about the cap, but if that is a reason that you couldn't find $5 or $6 million to put Melvin Ingram and Bashad Breeland on this roster, then that is, regardless of what got you there, it's bad that you couldn't do that, or maybe they just chose not to.
If that's ultimately all it would have taken to get Melvin Ingram, and obviously we'll know when the contract comes out, like, I have a really hard time understanding what the Chiefs are thinking.
It's all it took for Bashad Breeland. I think that position's in a scarier place.
But even then, I guess it's like you feel pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? There are some young players you feel pretty good about. I understand, obviously, the whole, like, there's not that guy, right? Or that definitive, we know this guy is there. But you have some young guys who I think you feel pretty good about, whereas the defensive end position, is there any hope? Like, Frank Clark has been disappointing.
It's Chris Jones. I mean, the hope is Chris Jones, which is also who is not currently a defensive end, really. So, but regardless, we can split hairs on that.
I mean, here's the thing: if you could have got the both of them for $6 to $8 million,
that's what I'm saying. Is if you can budget $6, $7, $8 million to have space for Bashad Breeland and Melvin Ingram, and it just costs you the guy from the bottom of the roster on both of those spots, the Melvin Ingram argument becomes very, very similar to my Bashad Breeland argument over these last couple of months or whatever.
I feel a lot better about the defense.
And look, I don't. Melvin Ingram has had injury issues. He's older, whatever. There are plenty of reasons that his price tag will be in that lower range. When you're talking about paying him Andrew Wiley money, I would be down. And this is where I think it does start to get a little bit interesting. And I'm also going to go ahead and put the precursor on the front end of this because I'm really exhausted by fighting people who aren't listening or paying very close attention to the things that I'm saying. Like, if you don't care or don't want to listen, that's totally chill. Just don't also talk to me. Like, you have to kind of either... Path 1 is ignore what I'm doing or saying, and then path 2 is like listen and respond. There's not a path. There's not the Rudy Salazar path 3 of don't listen and do respond. That is the group of people that I'm just going to try to cut that path off for. So here's the precursor. The Kansas City Chiefs, for as long as they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, are going to be better than anybody else's favorite team, for the most part. Or it'll be a very small number of teams. The Chiefs will never be terrible with Patrick Mahomes. You could have the most incompetent front office in the history of football, and the Chiefs would win like 9 games because they have Patrick Mahomes.
Josh thinks the Chiefs are only going to win 9 games next year.
Also fine. So there is not a world in which you cannot maximize Patrick Mahomes, but think about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has not been maximized in Green Bay. They've not run that all very well. I think calling them the worst franchise in the history of sports would be overstating it for my previous sort of watermark. But, like, I think everyone can say pretty confidently the Packers did not fully maximize the time they've had with Aaron Rodgers to this point. We can all say that. Also, like, whenever unless he has been injured, and even then, they've been a very good team to an elite team somewhere in that range. The Chiefs are always going to be in that range as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. Everything else is going to be secondary. The Chiefs don't suck. They're not doomed. We also just cannot talk about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's just, I'm not going to do that for all of time. So what's interesting, the interesting thing is the position group where there's turnover or where there's some unknowns. And what's currently kind of catching my eye is the fact that the defense right now, Melvin Ingram is kind of a jumping off point here, with the exception of the safety position, The Chiefs have some pretty major questions everywhere on the defense. Everywhere. Now, I think the interior defensive line is in really good shape, but there are questions to ask. How much will Chris Jones be there? What will Jaron Reed look like on his one-year deal? What is Derrick Nottie going to do on his contract year? That mostly spins off into next season, but still noteworthy. Where is Colin Saunders? He basically had his reps replaced by Tershawn Wharton last year. Can Tershawn Wharton take another step forward as an undrafted free agent? Just starting in the middle and working out and back. The defensive tackle spot I'm not worried about, but there are questions to be asked there. I think it's the second strongest group on the defense, though. And the safety group is not deep necessarily, but you go Tyrann Mathieu, Juan Thornhill, and even Dan Sorensen, that group is in very good hands. Corner, we've gone over a million times. Where does L'Jarius Sneed play? Who are your outside corners? Is Tarvarius Ward the 2019 version, the 2020 version, something better, something worse? Every one of those other names, we've got all the questions about Mike Hughes. What is DeAndre Baker going to look like coming back from a broken leg and all of his off-the-field stuff that got him here to Kansas City, which seems, again, like it was not his fault, like he was the victim of an extortion scheme. Still crazy. But you have all those questions about the cornerback group. At linebacker, you feel pretty good about Anthony Hitchens, although he's playing lighter right now. Will that be a positive? Hopefully. I like Willie Gay Jr. a lot. I have not seen him play NFL linebacker yet, though. Neither of you. Nick Bolton, can he play on the field alongside Anthony Hitchens, or is he just a Hitchens replacement? Either way, what does he look like in his rookie year? Is Willie Gay a reasonable jumping off point, or because Nick Bolton has much more time under his belt playing on a SEC football as opposed to Willie Gay's pretty short collegiate career, is Nick Bolton more advanced than that? Maybe. Do we know? No. And then the defensive end spot at this point kind of goes without saying. I will say it, though, because we're talking about Melvin Ingram here. How many games is Frank Clark going to play? Both for health and suspension purposes. What level will he perform at? How big is that cap number again? Oh, yeah, enormous. Where is Chris Jones playing? Is he playing at defensive end? Can he play defensive end at an elite level like he plays the defensive tackle position? What are you waiting for from Josh Kando? What can you expect in his rookie season? Taco Charlton was pretty good in a short sample size. What is he doing coming off of a fractured ankle? Mike Dana, year 2. Good run defender. Can he get after the quarterback? Is there enough talent in that group? I think there's enough depth at corner. You ask about talent. I wonder about talent and depth for the defensive end position, which I think is probably the best argument for bringing in Melvin Ingram, who is your, leveled up Alex Okafor in an ideal world, I suppose. A more accomplished Emmanuel Agba, I guess. But I don't even know if that's a great comparison. I think it's probably more like the hoping for more from Alex Okafor. But across the defense, just personnel-wise, there are a lot of questions. Now, I think you could probably go back to this show a year ago, probably had some similar questions. And it's a testament to Spags and that defensive coaching staff that they've been able to maximize the guys they've had in large part. Now, on the other side of that coin, they did not get pressure with 4 very well last year. Those corners under Spags did perform well, but now you've lost Bashad Breeland. And so it's just a lot of moving parts. It's a decent amount of turnover, which is a departure from last year as it was all about running it back. And now as you see them really, really wait it out, I had even heard at one point that there was maybe a little bit of, the door was not necessarily closed on Bashad Breeland until he ended up ultimately signing with the Vikings. Ian Rappaport said there was interest from the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs on Melvin Ingram. Clearly the door was not closed with Melvin Ingram, but he just signed with the Steelers. Bashad Breeland just signed with the Vikings. I don't know what the plan is, specifically with those two guys as sort of touch points, because there's mutual interest, right, for Breeland and Ingram. There is a positional need, however extreme you want to argue. Is it a 7 out of 10? Is it a 9 out of 10? Is it a 4 out of 10? There is some positional need, though, in terms of some veteran talent at those positions. The Chiefs were obviously, they know that. They agreed because they were interested. So why didn't either of those deals get closed? Will they try to bring in Justin Houston or someone else? My hunch right now is that they will not be bringing back Justin Houston. But I think I was recklessly speculating on Sports Saturday this week about this and saying that if you told, I do not know any of this to be factual, so please don't go, attributing this to me with some hashtag breaking news. But if you would have told me that Justin Houston would be willing to come play for Spags and he had an issue with Bob Sutton, more so than some sort of issue with Andy Reid or whatever, I would buy that. I don't know. I don't know that he had an issue with Andy Reid. I don't know that he had an issue with Bob Sutton. I don't know what that whole dynamic is. I do know that was a bit of a quietly sort of messy divorce. Mm-hmm. And also, I can't remember who tweeted this out, so apologies. But somebody tweeted a screenshot from Justin Houston in the game with the Colts where Patrick Mahomes' ankles were not quite right and everybody else was hurt and whatnot. And I didn't remember this at all, but Justin Houston is like captioned yelling over at the Chiefs sidelines. It's something like, "What's wrong with you guys?" or "Why didn't you call?" Something to that effect. And that you can say that on the field, and then if they want to give you a couple $1 million a little later on, sweet, you'll take that. But I did find that kind of funny, or kind of interesting. Had no memory of that at all. I'm not hitting any sort of panic button again, because I think panicking about a team with Patrick Mahomes on it is silly. I think that spending the offseason on the offensive line, I understand the logic of, even as if I was going to pick across the moves, I would say giving Joe Tooney the most money for any guard in football is the one that I wouldn't have done. Will it be right or not? I don't know. I told you at the time I wouldn't have made the Frank Clark trade, right? Like, mm-hmm. And am I bragging or calling myself an idiot there? Hard to say. Depends on how important you think Frank Clark was, right?
Well, you don't want a Super Bowl.
And I'm not doing this again. I would rather talk about the thing that Beard said we weren't allowed to talk about on today's show. It's just sports. Like it was just a dumb sports take thing. It wasn't like anything nefarious. You guys aren't missing anything. It was just not very smart. And on the internet. That's all. You could probably figure it out. But while I think that the Chiefs' ceiling is relatively, I really think their range of outcomes is still relatively narrow and really, really high compared to other NFL teams' range of outcomes, it's because of Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and theoretically the offensive line. But I just don't really understand, genuinely. Like, I'm not sure where the Chiefs front office is at right now, logically, when they are interested in bringing back Breeland and interested in bringing in Melvin Ingram, and then ultimately let them walk. And because there are degrees there, right? You could say, yeah, we were interested, but the price was too high. But the price was not too high on Jarran Reed. He's making, I think he's $6 million against the cap right now. So there are degrees to all of that. I don't think I think that passing on Bashaud Breeland, letting him go to Minnesota for a few $1 million, whenever you could have him penciled back in your starting lineup. And if he loses that job in training camp, great for whoever beat him out for that job. But that's a move I simply think they just should have made. I'm not breathless about Melvin Ingram. I just wonder what the exact path of logic is on. He wasn't worth an extra $1 million or $2 million, but we did want to outbid someone for Jarran Reed. This is not a perfect choice, but I think as things stand now, if you said, hey, would you rather have Chris Jones in the middle and Melvin Ingram as a defensive end outside of him, or have Chris Jones at defensive end and Jarran Reed in the middle, I think Jarran Reed as a player has a chance to be more consistent and more destructive over the course of this season, but it would also let Chris Jones stay where he's the most elite if he didn't have to kick out to defensive end, because the Chiefs are so desperately thin there. And the Chiefs obviously know that they need help at end because they're moving Chris Jones out there, but they didn't want to pay Melvin Ingram or any other noteworthy free agent to come and fill that role. So I think it's interesting. Again, not breathless, not losing my mind, not a soothsayer telling you that the Chiefs are doomed. But I think it's kind of an interesting choice because eventually they made the choice to say, no, we just are simply not going to match whatever this offer ends up being.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it, I mean, again, like you said, I think where it is a little bit of trying to figure out like a head scratcher, not in the sense that these are bad decisions, because maybe Bashad Breeland, Melvin Ingram just will be done, right?
Sure,
Maybe they are bad, and the Chiefs feel like that's the case. Maybe they'll be bad. So I'm not, but a decision where you're like, huh. I don't like saying like a head scratcher is kind of the term, but a head scratcher I think implies that they're making the wrong decision when the reality is I don't know that they are making the wrong decision. But it's a decision where you're kind of like, this is it again, like this is interesting, right? The thing is you can do if you really like the idea of having Chris Jones play more on the outside. Signing Melvin Ingram doesn't prevent that necessarily, right? Like that, you know what I mean? Like, so like, and I'm thinking about this even from the Chiefs' point of view. If you want to move Chris Jones around a little bit because you're trying to get the best matchups, right? Like if you go into a game where Team A's right tackle is this massive weak link, and so you want Chris Jones going up against him, and then Team B's weak link is their center, so you want Chris Jones going up against him. Melvin Ingram doesn't prevent you from doing these things. Just like Bashad Breeland didn't necessarily prevent you from taking the flyer on my cues, right? Like these were things that in theory you can make happen. Yeah. I think the Chiefs are just over $8 million, so let's say it takes $8 million to sign both of them. Okay, sure. Now you're out of money, but you know what? Like Andrew Wiley, what do we really think his role is going to be this year with the deep offensive line? It's like, you know what I mean? Like if there's a move that you can make at a position where all of a sudden you got a lot of guys. And now you freed up that money that you want to keep for during the season, right? Or you just bring back Bashad Breeland and you just decide not to go after Mike Hughes, well, whatever those cases may be. But like in theory, you could have Melvin Ingram, Jarron Reed, and Chris Jones.
Right.
You probably don't do that, but you can make that work. Like these were not decisions that by signing Jarron Reed, you know, you had to be out on Melvin Ingram, or by signing or trading for Mike Hughes, you had to be out on Bashad Breeland. Which is what makes it interesting when you now look at how cheap these deals were. Right. It's one thing if Bashad Breeland signs for $8 million, if Melvin Ingram signed for $10 million, but it sounds like it's going to be 8 or less for the both of them. To not sign one of them is very surprising.
Because they know. Yeah. Like the Chiefs are aware of some of their subpar sort of position groups right now,
and not that,
or at least not elite ones. Whatever.
Not that the Chiefs had I think they probably did have right of first refusal for Bashad Breeland. Not that they had that for Melvin Ingram, right? But like they clearly, it just based off the way it sounds like before paper was signed or before anything was signed, they went to the Chiefs with like, hey, here's the deal.
Yeah, it would be.
Can you beat it?
It would be ridiculous for Melvin Ingram's agent to not say, hey, we think we're moving right to about this number right here with the Steelers. What do you guys want to do with it? And there was eventually a text that says, or a phone call that says, no, we're good.
And for
good
Bashad Breeland, it was probably simply not even beating it, but just matching it, right? It's like, hey,
probably.
If you just match this, because I want.
Or even maybe get close. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe even just a little under. But it just based off his tweets, it surely seems like as long as he was offered the same amount, he would have been like, cool. I'm staying in Kansas City because this is where just based off his tweets, this is where I want to be at. That's for that amount of money. It is surprising that neither of those guys were brought in, and especially if we do end up getting through the rest of this offseason, and you can let me know if there's any other names that really pop up. Like Justin Houston's really the only name I can think of.
Yeah.
If there's another veteran guy,
that's the one I can think of that I know of. Right
and maybe they're just. Maybe they think there's going to be a big when are the big cuts? The big week 2 training, like the second after your second
late
preseason
July,
game.
early August.
Yeah, so maybe they think there's going to. They probably have a better idea of this stuff, obviously, than the general public ever does.
Yeah.
Maybe they feel like there's going to be a bigger mass exodus than there normally is, and then that's where they're going to find their guy. But it's risky.
It is. That's a gamble. That's the thing.
It's a gamble, for sure. Maybe they are guys who they are very confident are going to get cut, and they're like, these are guys that will make our team better, that we want. But if all of a sudden, you want player A from Team A, and they are going to cut him. And then all of a sudden, the guy who they think is going to replace him gets hurt, and now player A is not getting cut.
Or they get a draft pick offer.
Like, you know what I mean?
Or
Like,
you
yeah.
have to, yeah.
So
And
it's risky.
There will be bottom of the roster moves like that. There always are.
And they love trading for that former high round pick, right? So
Right, but you also don't want to rely on that guy starting.
Exactly.
It ends in
Yes.
week 1, a couple weeks after you've made some move.
that move doesn't always work out. Sometimes you do
Right.
get it, like you just even look at the linebacker situation. Reggie Ragland was a productive player, I would say.
Sure.
It's not great, but productive. Deron Lee was bad.
Yep.
Like sometimes it works out. Cam Irving, for as bad as a starting left tackle as he was a solid backup offensive lineman overall, right?
Right.
Like he could move around everywhere. He gave some flexibility. But like
he was
sometimes,
in basically every single celebratory photo
which is
after
valuable.
the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl without Cam Irving.
Yeah, you need that.
I've often said this.
You need those guys. Just like the Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl without Chad Henne.
Or Matt Moore.
Definitely Matt Moore. Chad Henne, the joke was because he was hurt that whole year. But you don't win it without Chad Henne.
It's interesting. We need to take a break. Whenever we come back, I'm going to try to figure out if there's anything else there that we need to kind of explain through, because I am just sort of perpetually assuming that people are not fully understanding that, because I've just, I've been bit by the Twitter machine too many times. There's also some interesting Royals stuff there off tonight, so we can dig into a couple of Royals pre-trade deadline things. I can run some stuff past you guys that we talked about a little bit on Sports Saturday this weekend. And also eventually I don't know if I have anything else to say about the NBA Finals. The game will be on tomorrow night. Tip-off is at 8 here on Sports Radio 810. On Wednesday's show, we will definitely talk about the Finals. It'll either just be, I think we have like an hour and a half. I think we're 6 to 7:30 on Wednesday. So it'll either be, 90 minutes of quiet sobbing or
Either
90
Josh
minutes
will
of me
be
rubbing my
happy,
nipples.
or there will be a sad fans on Reddit.
There's no reason that you had to interrupt me to say that.
You interrupted me.
No.
I'm kidding.
When Rudy knows how an interruption works, you've bleeped up. Is that fair, Rudy? Let's take a break.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Whoa, Charlie, what do you think you're doing turning the air up?
It's cold in here.
Well, get over it. Slide that back down.
No.
It's like Letterman in here. I want my guests to be uncomfortable. It's so cold. Put that down.
Cold in this whole building.
I can't
Like
do
your
radio
soul.
if my nipples aren't hard, Charlie.
With Joshua Brisco.
It's either got to be 40 degrees in the studio or we have to be talking about Patrick Mahomes. These are my only two options.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Something kind of weird happened right as the show is about to start today. Raiders president Mark Badain resigned. Schefter called him instrumental in the team's move to Las Vegas and a key member of the organization for 30 years. He had a statement about how he was like stressed about or how the new stadium was like the most stressful thing he'd done or whatever. The thing that I wanted to focus in on, you can read the statement if you want on that. What I wanted to focus in on is what Mark Davis said in his statement, accepting Mark Badain's resigning. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to try to read it this way as well. Mark Davis's statement has every single first letter of each word capitalized, which is very much not how you write a statement. And it's really weird. So I'm just going to read it as I think it should be read. Mark Davis continuing to be incredibly strange. Today, I have accepted Mark Badain's resignation as president of the Las Vegas Raiders. ... 2 periods. 2 periods. Not 1, not 3, 2. Mark has been an integral part of the Raider family for 30 years. ... Rising from a training camp driver to president of the entire organization. Every single letter has been first letter has been capitalized. ... Space. That's right. There is not a space after the previous 2 ...
I was waiting to see if you were going to make that note because I was like, hey, this is important.
Cannot sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry rat.
You're a professional. I should never doubt you.
His efforts in helping to build the most magnificent stadium in the sports and entertainment capital of the world will never be forgotten. ... Space. I wish Mark, his wife Amy. I love that. His wife Amy is my favorite to all be capitalized because it seems like that is her official legal name and or title. His wife Amy, daughter Allie, also both capitalized, and sons Bernie and Zach, all the best. No punctuation after Zach, by the way, just so you know. I wish Mark, his wife Amy, daughter Allie, and sons Bernie and Zach all the best in whatever the future holds. ... Paragraph break. Once a Raider, always a Raider. ... Paragraph break. Mark Davis . I think it was Dominique Foxworth. I think I mentioned this on the show recently as well. I think Dominique Foxworth was the one a long time ago mentioned on Lebitard as he was sort of rising up the ranks of the Players Association, that he was getting into more and more like meetings with owners and everything, and he kind of just expected like get into that room and then like really had to be on his toes because everything was going to move at lightning speed and everyone's going to kind of run circles around him and everything.
He may have said this on Lebitard. There is an episode of ESPN Daily with Pablo Torre of him also talking about this.
Excellent. He got there and then realized that all of these owners are not necessarily smarter than he is. They've just got money. And money makes you look smarter. You can do things with money. Some people with money are smarter.
Yeah.
And not that, the way you capitalize every single letter or every single word is the be-all, end-all of if you're smart or not.
It's weird, though.
But it's weird. And Mark Davis is a weird one.
I think my favorite part of it is just the title.
Oh, yeah, at the top it says, Badain resigns, bolded, underlined.
Yeah. Just Badain resigns.
It's all very strange. It's also a weird
Badain
time for
resigns.
a president of an organization to resign. Like, it's just all a little bit... I mean, I'm not sure there are a lot of times it's great for a president of an organization to resign, and especially of a football team, right? In his statement... which I think he sent out to a bunch of the main reporters, and then everyone took credit for it, was capitalized normally, and Badain, the former now president of the Raiders, wrote, "The successful construction and operation of Allegiant Stadium has been unequivocally the most challenging part of my 30 years with the organization. Seeing it through to the end has been rewarding beyond measure. Together, the Raiders and Las Vegas accomplished what seemed impossible. Now that the project is completed, it's time to focus on my family and look ahead to new pursuits. I am forever grateful to MD, Mark Davis, presumably, for his unwavering support and friendship. I wish him and the Raider family the best. I will always feel a part of the team because everyone knows once a Raider, always a Raider. I don't think that there's probably going to be an on-the-field repercussion for this. It's not the GM, right? Like, I think for the Chiefs, Mark Donovan is you know what? They had a whole bunch of, like, title changes and stuff recently. Will you Google just Mark Donovan Chiefs and find there was something within the last couple of months where I think his title might just be longer now.
First thing that popped up was British cyclist. Second one, Kansas City Chiefs. I have it. It's loading right now. It is here,
I do
though.
think that I basically think his title just got slightly longer this offseason. I think.
Still says president, but I feel like you're right though.
I'm gonna get it here.
Maybe
There's a story where he has a comment. I'm like a dog with a bone on this one. Well, it just says Chiefs President Mark Donovan, so maybe not. They hired someone as executive vice president and chief marketing officer, Laura Krug. That was the end of June, so I don't know. But anyway, Brett Veach is the GM, Mark Donovan's the president, Clark Hunt is CEO and chairman. I think his official title. So, if it would be weird if Mark Donovan resigned tomorrow, but I don't know that you would recognize it on the field. Certainly they would recognize it in Arrowhead. It's just kind of an odd thing for an odd organization. The statements are a little bit strange. Obviously, Mark Davis's is really weird because he's Mark Davis and capitalizing things very strangely. But Dane's actual statement has, I don't know. Whenever somebody says something like, look ahead to new pursuits, that means like they're leaving and they're going to go do something else. It's not that's not what you're saying into retirement. Exactly. Yes. And with 30 years of the Raiders, he could retire. If you want to say retire, spend time with my family, whatever, that makes more sense. And and I'm this super conjecture, but the timing makes me think that it wasn't long planned. Because if it was long planned, you probably do this right after the draft, sometime before it maybe. I don't know. When there's more of a sort of a hard stop in the calendar. I don't know. Also, like the statements are both like notes apps that were texted to guys and texted to Schefter and Rappaport or whatever, not like Raider statements from the Raiders account and like on Raiders letterhead and stuff. So all of that is it's all just a little strange.
And I'm with you. I don't think you're going to necessarily.
The Raiders account has not tweeted about it at all, by the way.
Yeah, that's normal.
Because think about it. If I'm going to keep using Mark Donovan, sorry, Mark Donovan. I know you're a huge fan of the show. I don't know that. But if Mark Donovan was going to resign tomorrow, right? Again, I apologize for firing Mark Donovan.
Twitter account would.
There would be a Chiefs tweet, and it would say, Chiefs President Mark Donovan resigning after X years with the team, and there would be a statement from Clark Hunt. There would be a statement from Mark Donovan. There might be one from Andy Reid. There might be one from Brett Veach. Those would all be sent out in a press release, in an email that everyone here would get. The Chiefs would tweet it out. There would, all of that would happen as a bit of a coordinated effort, and just sort of the disjointed nature of this one makes me think that something kind of there's just going to be maybe something else to that story in the days to come. I don't have any idea if that's true or not. But it is, at the very least, sort of the vibe the Raiders are giving off on this
Or
one.
just the on-field Raiders have seeped into the front office Raiders.
Derek Carr fired him. I'm reporting it here. Derek Carr said, you have not given me this major extension yet.
Yeah.
And this president dude keeps getting in the way. My massive contract extension that I should be having. Mark Davis, I want you to kick him out of here and make him say he resigned. You want Derek bleeping Carr. That would be a good story.
It would be a good story.
I would like to hear about that.
I feel like I might side with the president over Derek Carr. I feel like you could find I don't know, to be honest, I guess I don't know if he's necessarily a good president of the company. But my guess is he's better at that than David Carr is at Derek Carr is at quarterback.
Probably. They got a giant stadium built and moved successfully to Vegas. That seems like a pretty good sign. It's definitely longer completion than Derek Carr's ever made.
I will say for an organization like the Raiders that don't have necessarily, obviously, just like a ton of money, right? Like they're I mean, Mark Davis is rich, obviously, but it's not Jerry Jones, or it's not even honestly like most NFL teams, right? Like they're not, they don't have this massive company that's just bringing in all this money. I imagine for a team like them, like hiring a bad president there's the chance, right? There's more of a chance of Messi if you make the bad decision there of that hurting your on field, because you really do require like to.
They traded Khalil Mack because they didn't have enough money to pay him.
Like they need
That's
to make,
pretty well known.
They need to make money more than the average team does, right? Because because that's just they need money from the football team more than even the Clark Hunt and the Chiefs do, because Clark Hunt has businesses that generate all this money.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
My guess is it won't affect anything on the field or anything extra than what it already does. But hey, if you make the wrong hire, and I'm sure they'll make a decent hire. It's hard.
Well,
it's hard to not make money as a football team to some degree, right?
That's true. Yes.
Because it's football, but could be something.
A good point, almost as good as this point, which is that Oakland and Las Vegas, according to Google Maps, and this might be driving it, but I'm going to go ahead and take it as for an estimate here, about 557 miles apart.
I was going to say like 3.5 hours. I was off.
You convert that into yards, that's 980,320 yards from Oakland to Las Vegas. Derrick Carr career passing yards, about 27,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not even close. So clearly, he was better at his job than Derek Carr was at his. That is the scientifically proven way of assessing that, and that will conclude our conversation about this now and forevermore.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
The Raiders have lost 4 games in a row. That's crazy.
Are they for real?
I think, you know what? I think the Raiders might not be for real.
With Joshua Brisco
Is Joe Flacco elite?
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
A little information here, according to Jason Lock and Fora, so you know it's real. Melvin Ingram's deal is apparently for 1 year, $4 million. I think it's at 2 to 4 beginning of the show. So, I mean, I'm genius
Nailed
or
it.
whatever. It's interesting. I went and pulled up, and Bashaud Breeland's cap hit this year is, according to Spot Track, is $2.7 million. So, I'm pairing those again because those are veteran solutions to problems the Chiefs knew they had, and they decided it was too rich for their blood. I think there is a better chance that Melvin Ingram is not worth $4 million this year than that Bashaud Breeland is not worth $3 million, if I had to guess. Just because Bashaud Breeland doesn't have a, extensive recent injury history and Melvin Ingram does. I'm not heated that the Chiefs didn't match that or didn't want to go 4.5 or whatever, especially knowing that they wouldn't go 3 even with Breeland, maybe plus some incentives. But I guess my question on Breeland and Ingram is, what number would they have given to either of those guys? And what is their plan to get someone at a number they're comfortable with to try to flesh out those position groups?
Mm-hmm.
And I do not know the answer to those questions. I'm not sure if the answer to those questions are set in stone, if they actually exist. I don't know.
Well, that's why you're here and not running the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Yeah,
reason.
That's the reason.
That's probably the only reason for sure, yeah. What is the reason again?
Because they know numbers and you don't.
Got it. What evidence of that is there? We can talk about some of this with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. We'll have him joining us here in a couple minutes. Been in a weird energy on this show today. I think it's been a subdued energy, except maybe I think Beards might have the most sort of mischievous energy on today's show.
I'm
He's a
tired.
mischievous boy.
Yeah, it's coming through in a weird way, Beards. It's aggressive, and I don't care for it. Matt Derrick's next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Center.
I'm Steve Lennox. Milwaukee Bucks can close out the NBA Finals with a win in Game 6 Tuesday night at home against the Phoenix Suns. Game number 6 on ABC TV, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Bucks came from a 16-point deficit to win Game 5 on the road Saturday night. It was the first win by a road team in the NBA Finals series. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey today at the SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama.
We still have roster minimums that exist, just like last year. What I've identified for consideration among our membership is we remove those roster minimums, and you're expected to play as scheduled. That means your team needs to be healthy to compete. And if not, that game won't be rescheduled. And thus, to dispose of the game, the forfeit word comes up at this point.
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, teams must achieve 85% in vaccinations in order to avoid regular COVID testing and the requirement of wearing a mask at indoor facilities. Las Vegas Raiders announcing team president Mark Badane has resigned after 30 years with the organization. Giants running back Saquon Barkley, rehabbing from a torn ACL and torn MCL on his right knee, said, "We'll see." Asked today about his readiness for training camp and Week 1 Giants open up camp a week from tomorrow. Melvin Ingram agreeing to a one-year contract as he joins the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baseball on ESPN TV tonight, third inning in St. Louis. Cubs and Cardinals are scoreless.
Will the Suns force a Game 7, or can the Bucks win their first title in 50 years? It's a full NBA Finals Game 6 preview Tuesday morning. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin only on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
If you don't make your cheek pink, you're not staying awake.
Exactly.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I've asked all these questions with no real answers about some things going on with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. So we have Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest to give us absolute, definitive, no more questions asked answers to the questions that will be asked. He is a verified, unstoppable force of information. He knows everything that exists. And he really, I think, throughout the world, specifically of the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, Matt Derrick. You can follow him on Twitter, at Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. There's even a book. You can get the links on that in his Twitter account and whatnot. Matt, how are you doing here in this last last stretch before training camp?
Well, I was doing pretty good until you gave an introduction that I cannot possibly live up to.
That's fine.
So
I do that
therefore,
every
I'm
night.
going to be nothing but a disappointment.
No, that's okay. Every single night, I'm a disappointment. Really, every day, most waking moments of my life, I'm a disappointment, especially with the intros that we play. They make the show sound way funnier than it actually is. So then, we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure that way also.
I don't know. I mean, this show's pretty funny, man. I mean, not when I'm on it, but it's pretty funny.
You're
Oh, Matt, you stinker.
gonna have to mind Josh. He's in a bad mood still.
So I'm gonna have to crack into our text thread a little bit here, Matt, and I'll keep out all the horrible things you said about Beards and Rudy.
I mean, they're probably true.
But all true. But oftentimes I'll give Matt the option of, hey, here's our Monday setup. You want to do 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever. And Matt is really excellent about responding with GIFs. I think we've talked about this on the show before. Often they are from the TV show that the first word sounds like a thing you should dump on the radio, but you shouldn't because it's spelled differently. It's SCHITTS, Creek. But in this instance, he responded with a GIF of what happens to be Frank Kaminsky, number 8 of the Phoenix Suns, to say that he would do 8 o'clock tonight. And so Matt knows that I'm still hurting.
Yeah, I especially after I sent you that and very, very impolite article about Giannis and how he came to national fame thanks to Stormy Daniels.
So I have still not actually clicked this story, but the headline from the Wall Street Journal is how Stormy Daniels made the NBA's Greek Freak famous. Did you read?
I had never heard of him until he was on 60 Minutes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because he was on 60 Minutes and he followed the Stormy Daniels interview or something, right?
It was before you had to sit through Giannis to get to Stormy Daniels.
There's a 60 Minutes joke in there too.
Yeah, I think there are a couple, and some of them are not safe for the radio. Some of them are making fun of the Suns, like, 60 minutes, that's how long they went without shooting a three-pointer in Game 5. And that's where I went because I still have a lot of anger in my soul, and I'm working on it.
It was only 48 minutes in an NBA game.
Well,
Josh.
47 minutes, 50 seconds, whatever it takes.
It was an exaggeration, Rudy. I was trying to make a joke. Matt, a couple of interesting things here as we are here in the home stretch, if you will, leading up to training camp. But the news today that I was honestly glad to see, just because I think it opened up some interesting conversation points, is that Melvin Ingram ended up signing with the Steelers. Jason La Canfora just said it was 1 year, $4 million for Melvin Ingram. That's about, I think I said, that 2 to 4 range, and 5 wouldn't have shocked me, and 2 wouldn't have shocked me. Maybe you can expand it some. But at that price tag, I don't think that it's like the steal of the century or anything. But also the Chiefs were, they hosted him for an interview and a tryout, workout, whatever, physical, I don't know. And then even as of today, I think it was Ian Rappaport who said that the Steelers and Dolphins and Chiefs were kind of the 3 teams most interested in him. So what did you make of him ultimately landing in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it did. A little bit surprising because it certainly seemed like Ingram was at this point in his career, remember he is 32, was looking for the cash. I mean, whatever was going to be able to get the best deal that he could get. And, hey, if $4 million is the best deal he's going to get, okay. There were earlier reports during free agency that he was obviously asking for a lot more than that, even on a 1-year deal. So a little bit surprising, but also it strikes me that at $4 million, if Brett Veach wanted Melvin Ingram to be a Chief, he'd be a Chief.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this price and this deal with this team tells me that the Chiefs were just not interested, or if they were interested, certainly not at that price point.
So the thing that I find most interesting, and I have, as I will never fail to do, shoehorn in a Bashaud Breeland mention. Bashaud Breeland ended up signing for a sub $3 million cap hit in Minnesota. Ingram reportedly 4 here in Pittsburgh. And the reason I connect those two is just because those were 2 players the Chiefs clearly had at least some amount of interest in, or some conversation with, and all of that. We had these long, drawn out, percentage chances with Breeland. I don't know if we ever played the percentage chance game with Melvin Ingram or not. And ultimately they said, nope, be it at that price point or for whatever reason, we're going to go ahead and pass at 2 positions that they clearly do know that there is something to be desired still amongst their corners and amongst their edge rushers. They're moving Chris Jones to the outside. They were interested in Ingram. They overhauled some of the depth at that cornerback position. Do you think that there is a monetary cutoff in terms of just what they're willing to allocate to anybody else right now? They don't want to dip under, the $8-ish million that they currently have to wiggle around with, and when, training camp cuts start coming around and everything, or is there another move still coming from somewhere to try to add another edge rusher to this roster?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to look at it because, I don't think that at this point it tells you anything about what the Chiefs are necessarily looking for. In relation to the current free, except that maybe there's just nothing in the current free agent market that really interests them. Yeah. $80 million, frankly, that's where Brett Veach needs and wants to be in during a season. I mean, he's told me before, he wants to be $8 to $10 million going into the season at this point. Because remember, right now, that cap number only counts top 51 contracts. So you've got 2 more contracts you have to add in there for just your 53. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a practice squad that counts against the cap. You're going to have guys go to injured reserve. Those guys count against the cap. That's what you have to have, to enter a season, even to just deal with the nicks and bruises and the cost of doing business going into the year. Now, there's the fact that they're going to probably redo Tyrann Mathieu's deal, and they're going to free up some money. So there's probably going to be some resources left. But I think at this point, I think the Chiefs are looking at it and saying, okay, you know what? We have some questions, but they do have some depth at defensive end. A lot of questions, but they've got a lot of numbers there. They're also looking at it as, you know what? There's a trade market still out there. There is a waiver market, that cut down that's still out there. There's still options, So I think that at this point, what they're saying is that doors number 2 and doors number 3 are more appealing to them than door number 1, which at this point would have been a Melvin Ingram in that spot for defensive end.
I just think the Matthew point is a great one. His base salary for this year is $14.5 million. They can move the grand majority of that down the line if they would like to, and it would free up a whole bunch of space. I don't disagree, obviously, that there are things that could still be coming down the line. Trade market, camp cut downs, all that stuff, obviously. But it does seem like they're probably not going to be able to do something that is, I don't know, a distinct improvement over Alex Okafor, right? I was like, as sort of one of those guys that maybe it's a veteran that that hasn't fully lived up to his last contract, or maybe it's a young guy who, like a Taco Charlton, right, who is ultimately let go from a team that's going to go ahead and pass on him and say, we're done with this experiment, go try a new change of scenery. It just seems like whatever would be next would have to be one of those guys, right? Like there's not a splash to be made at this point. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair, but and then also, I mean, look at it from just a pure number standpoint. I mean, even though as a Chiefs fan, you can look at it and say, okay, you know what, maybe they need some more depth at defensive end. But honestly, who do you get rid of in order to make that move? Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, Chiefs are probably going to carry. They typically have nine or 10 defensive linemen on the roster. And, maybe 4 or 5 of those are going to be defensive ends. Well, Chris Jones is going to be a defensive end. Mm-hmm. Let's just deal with that up front. So there's 1. Taco Charlton is 2. Joshua Kando is 3. Mike Dana's not going in there. Where? There's 4. Taco Charlton. Did I mention Taco Charlton? I think I already probably rattled him off. Well, no, he's in there too. That's 5.
Yeah, that's 5. Frank Clark is 6. He might not start the season on the active roster, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, between Clark Jones, Charlton, Dana, and Kando, you're at 5.
Yeah.
So where are you going to put somebody else in there? And then you've got, Reed, you got Noddy, you got Wharton. You're already, now you're at the 8 defensive linemen. So, and they've got some other guys that they like there, obviously. I mean, Tim Ward, is still a guy that's got a lot of upside. I think that they would really be interested still in seeing what he's got. They've got some numbers. So, I think it's one way to look at it is, at least from the Chiefs, I think their standpoint is that, and remember too, we're talking about, maybe Melvin Ingram coming in and being the 9th or 10th lineman on this team. And then number 2 is, what is Melvin Ingram right now?
Right.
This is a dude that didn't even have a sack last year.
Yeah.
And he was hurt. Mm-hmm. He was hurt 2 years ago. And I don't think he's had, more than 7 sacks in his 30s. And he's going to be 33 this year. I mean, at this point, I think that, we're attaching a lot more meaning to the name of Melvin Ingram than it's probably worth at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Chiefs' calculation is.
I agree with that last phrasing, especially, where for me, the fact that they didn't sign Melvin Ingram for me is much less about Melvin Ingram than it is just about what the Chiefs think about their defensive end group, if that makes sense. It could have been Justin Houston. It could have been some other Ryan Kerrigan, I think, was a free agent at some point this offseason. Like, it could have been any of those guys, but the fact that there was interest and then not a signing, that equation is more interesting to me. One thing that I don't know if we've really framed it this way before, but I'm sort of curious on your read of it. No pun intended, but they really seemed like Jaron Reed, and that was one of the guys, really maybe the only guy, I think $5.5 million cap number on over the cap right now, where they did something a little splashy there in terms of a 1-year deal where you're carrying all that cap hit this year. And they made that happen in free agency after kind of a weird situation in Seattle. Do you think that I'm trying to kind of solve the chicken and the egg here on Jaron Reed and Chris Jones? Was bringing in Jaron Reed a way that they could feel better about moving Chris Jones to defensive end, something they already wanted to do? Or did they move Chris Jones to defensive end and then sign Jaron Reed to fill that hole because they were worried about the defensive end spot? Does that make sense? Did I ask that question okay?
Yeah, I think you absolutely did. And I do actually believe that those are 2 independent actions. I think the Chris Jones move was coming regardless of what happened with Jaron Reed. Just that it's something that Chris clearly has wanted to do for a long time. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs now to a point where they feel like maybe it's the right time to give that a try. But no, the Jaron Reed, every indication that I've received is just that was just a gift from heaven that fell into their laps that they weren't expecting. I mean, because remember, that was fairly late, you know, as a signing. And honestly, at that point, I mean, Chris Jones was already making the moves about, you know, moving the defensive end. I mean, that started much earlier in the offseason. So I do firmly believe that those are two different acts. But I'm glad you bring up Jerron Reed and you bring up that contract because, I mean, Jerron Reed, the player that you're getting right now for $5 million, and Melvin Ingram, the player that he is right now for $4 million. I mean, that's not even light and day. I mean, the difference between those two players is more than $1 million. I mean, that's just the way it is. So to me, I mean, there's almost one way of thinking about it is that, you know, good grief, you've already gotten a stroke of luck by having a guy like Jerron Reed fall into your lap for $5 million. Why would you, you know, absolutely put a line through that great stroke of luck that you got by taking a complete total gamble flyer on a banged-up Melvin Ingram? I mean, you're almost absolutely negating the great stroke of fortune that you got with landing Reed in the first place.
So, I mean, you've said we're just Chris Jones is defensive end. The way he's talked about it, Spags has talked about it, everybody's talked about it, that Chris Jones is not working on a changeup that he can throw from defensive end. It is about him learning to play defensive end to spend the majority of his time there. How do you see the defensive line likely shaping up for the majority of snaps, whatever that looks like in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you know, clearly, I obviously would think that the Chiefs would still play a pretty deep rotation. So I mean, I think that they're still going to do that, where there's probably going to be 7 or 8 guys that see a substantial amount of time. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, Jones and Clark on the ends, probably flipping from time to time. Then Reed and Noddy in the middle. Tershawn Wharton might even be, you know, a flex guy that can play multiple positions. You know, Joshua Kando, I think, would certainly probably be your guy that you bring in, and maybe some specific just passing situations. You know, Mike Dan is probably your edge guy that you bring in, you know, as a substitute in just, you know, some basic base defense type looks or some run situations. I mean, they can do a few different things, but I think that's right there, probably the bulk of your rotation. It's probably a question, you know, hey, can Colin Saunders snap that number 4 tackle spot? And, you know, and Chris Jones, I mean, I think it's just probably a different terminology for what we should call him, because before he was a defensive tackle who occasionally played edge. Now he's going to be an edge who probably occasionally plays tackle. I mean, I think he'll still move around a little bit, but that's definitely how I think at this point that line will stack up, and I think how the rotation will probably wind itself out. I mean, there's certainly some other names that could work themselves in there, but those are at least the guys that I would expect to see most of the snaps this year.
What do you think the Chiefs are expecting from Frank Clark this year?
I think at this point, what the signals, at least, that we're getting with the fact that, you know, the Chiefs did pass on someone like Ingram, that they haven't made any other moves whatsoever, I think they're expecting him to play 17 games if he's healthy. I mean, I think that's totally the expectation. I mean, I think there's still obviously a question mark about what kind of performance you're going to get out of Frank Clark, because in 2 seasons he has been inconsistent, and there have been injuries that have slowed him down. He's played a lot of games for them, and he's been very productive in the postseason. But the indication I think that they're sending right now is that they fully expect that they're going to get a full 17-game season of Frank Clark if he's healthy.
Is that your expectation in terms of just the suspension side of things?
I think it is, because, I mean, there's certainly some ways that it could change, but, you know, the way that the NFL policies are set up for, you know, like a commissioner's exemption list suspension, you know, for right now, Frank Clark's not really falling into that definition. So I'd be really surprised if the league made a move. And honestly, I think if the Chiefs were going to make a move, I think we would have already had that signaled at this point. I mean, certainly there was no reason to them when, you know, the charges were brought down for them to make any move, because it's the off season. There's nothing going on. You're not suspending him from anything right now. So maybe that changes. Maybe once we get to camp, maybe that equation will change. But I've got to think that with the signals, at least that this club is sending right now, I would be surprised if Frank Clark's not there at the beginning of camp and that he doesn't finish the season unless there's a dramatic change in the legal situation.
This is, again, feel free to correct me if you find any of this to be inaccurate, but I think we've seen several different versions of Frank Clark. Now speaking strictly, just let's say however many games he's playing, you know, what is he as a pass rusher? there was, Seattle, Frank Clark, and specifically kind of the guy at his peak. And then I think there is sort of 2019 postseason Frank Clark, perhaps, and then the guy we've seen outside of that in his time in Kansas City. And there have been the injuries. There's been the inconsistencies. There's been some big moments and a great sideline interview. But with all of that now kind of being a decent sample size on Frank Clark, both in Seattle and in Kansas City, what do you think is reasonable in terms of production? I don't need like a sack number or whatever, but on a scale of, do the Chiefs expect at a $26 million cap hit this year? Do they expect him to be an elite edge rusher? Do they expect him to be a starting caliber one? Do they think Chris Jones is going to be the best edge rusher on the team? What do they think? What do you think in terms of what he can be at this point in his career?
Yeah, I mean, Clark is definitely going to get punished for the fact that he always got that huge cap number this year. And, remember, part of it's because, the Chiefs did move around some money to make his cap hit or cheaper in previous seasons. So, hey, that's just a little bit of the contract money balancing out. Yep. So, I mean, are you going to get $26 million out of Frank Clark this year? Well, no, because the dude would have to give you like 26 sacks in order to get you that kind of production. And, no, that's not going to happen. But you look at, you're right. I mean, there's probably at least 3 Frank Clarks that you've seen in Kansas City. I mean, there's been healthy Frank Clark in the regular season. There's been hurt Frank Clark in the regular season. And then there's been postseason Frank Clark, who's an absolute beast for whatever reason. But, at this point, 2 seasons in, Frank Clark has shown us to be a 6 to 8 sack guy. And I think if you're expecting any more than that, I mean, the only thing I could see certainly playing into it is that, I mean, if he's healthy, and let's face it, this is the contract season for Frank Clark. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not going to be, and I think he fully knows this, and whether the Chiefs have told him and his agent or not, I think the expectation is that Frank Clark's not going to be in Kansas City on his current deal. There's just almost no way that that's going to happen. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a Frank Clark contract season. And the last time he had a contract season, remember, he had 13 sacks. So, hey, if the contract season, as our dear late friend Therese Baylor used to say, is undefeated, then maybe Frank Clark will surprise us and have a big double-digit season. But at this point in Kansas City, he has not been that guy. So I don't think you could expect anything more than that.
Yeah. We've covered that you don't expect him to get suspended as things currently stand, but I do think it's interesting, and I'm going to continue to preface this as much as I can because I'm tired of getting in the Twitter fights. But I think it's interesting to know that, if he gets suspended, then the guaranteed salary, which is $8.5 million of his $26-ish million cap hit, that is no longer guaranteed if he is suspended by the league, according to people who know more about that than I do. It would basically just put his contract in the situation that it would be going into the 2022 season, more or less, in terms of having the dead money of prorated bonuses and the guaranteed money getting shuffled around and everything like that. And look, if they freed up, if to go fully extreme here, Frank Clark gets suspended, the Chiefs cut him, they free up $18.5 million. I don't know where that money is going other than rolling over to next year, which I guess would be nice for next year, but you've got to have a starting defensive end over there at some point. I don't know that there is a move that comes there. I certainly wouldn't expect the Chiefs to release Frank Clark if that came around. But have you given that any thought if he was suspended and that guaranteed money did become no longer guaranteed? If anything would change at Arrowhead for Frank Clark?
I mean, it certainly could because the big reason why, of course, obviously nothing's happening to Frank Clark right now is that everything is guaranteed. The base salary is guaranteed. And that's the biggest part of it. That's 18.5. So, yeah, if that were for some reason no longer guaranteed, and would the Chiefs make a move? No, I don't necessarily think it's a slam dunk that they would walk away. Now, there's 2 possibilities here. One is that there is a character clause in his contract that would allow the guarantee to go away. In which case, he could still be eligible to play, but the Chiefs would part ways. And he could be suspended and therefore no longer have the guarantee. And then it maybe wouldn't matter what the Chiefs do. If he ends up on the commissioner's, especially the commissioner's exempt list, then it doesn't really matter. They could find a way to at least walk away from the money. But, at this point, honestly, the Chiefs would rather have the snaps from Frank Clark than, I think, save the money. Yeah. I think they would still rather have Frank Clark out there than whomever they would replace him with. But, hey, we like to put percentages on these things, and I'll put it on there. I mean, I think that my gut feeling is that the idea that Frank Clark gets suspended at all during this season is probably 1%. I mean, I think it's a pretty remote equation. So I think the Chiefs just probably need to calculate the fact that they're going to be stuck with Frank Clark, whether they want to be or not.
I'm going to stop fighting your 1% predictions. Like I think across the board, I've heard you say 1% now, and every time I go, oh Matt, you rascal, why would you do this to me again? But it's because it's usually about Bashaud Breeland. So I will fight you on it.
What are those percentages?
Yeah, what is the percentage chance that the Chiefs do trade Mike Hughes back to the Vikings for Bashaud Breeland?
It doesn't have to be Mike Hughes. It could be like a 2023 6th-round pick.
Sure.
Anything.
What has a better chance of happening, Matt? Frank Clark gets suspended or the Chiefs trade for Bashaud Breeland?
Ooh. My gut would say that the more likely scenario would be Chiefs trading for Brisco.
What?
Here we go.
Wait a second. So what is the percentage chance the Chiefs trade for Bashaud Breeland back? What is that percentage number?
Like 1.1%.
I can't. Listen, my only gripe here, my only pushback is that you are apparently 99% confident that the NFL is going to have some sort of reasonable and sustained and consistent ruling on a discipline matter, and that is impossible for me to think is it's that high. Just in terms of your confidence in Roger Goodell making a choice.
Well, Frank Clark also has, a real nice advantage that, his old buddy Richard Sherman's probably bailed him out a little bit of the NFL hot water. So
that's probably true. That's actually a good point. I didn't know thought about that. All right. Well, what are you looking forward to in St. Joe? Are you going to be out there this weekend? I'm going to be out there on Sunday.
I will be out there, and I haven't looked at the forecast, but I'm assuming because it's St. Joe in July, it's going to be hot.
My computer just shorted out and the screen went black, so I was going to Google St. Joe weather. Oh, we're back. St. Joseph weather. What did you type, Rudy?
St. Joe weather report.
Weather
Sunday.
report.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Here's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Matt. 95, 96, 97, 95.
Yeah, St. Joe, I love you.
Oop, 96 actually on Monday. Sorry.
Humidity about 53%.
Exactly what I like to call Chamber of Commerce weather.
20% chance of precipitation.
Yeah,
because, the only thing really missing there is humidity. So if we could get the humidity in there, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, 53%.
53% humidity.
Yeah, I love you, St. Joe. Don't change. Don't ever change.
It's 73% humidity today, though. So,
The other thing I look forward to so much every year, the annual trip to St. Joe, is that on the final day of, Military Appreciation Day, that it rains cats and dogs.
Not a drizzle, but a downpour.
Has that happened several years in a row? I don't think I know this one.
I think it's happened both years I've been up there.
I think it's been like 3 years in a row now. And we're not talking exactly. Rudy's right. We're not talking about little just gentle shower. I think it was obviously it would have been 2 years ago. It was started in the rain. It was just, and Andy was like, "Hey, you know what? You gotta practice in the rain." So we're gonna go out there, and everyone was just sliding all over the field. It was like when your friends, when you were like 8, you would go out there and just play in the mud one day. That's what this was. And then there was a bolt of lightning that struck somewhere between the media tent and the field, I think, because it was one of those simultaneous, you heard it and saw it at the same time, and there wasn't a horn blew or anything. The players just bolted off the field and started running up the hill, and golf carts appeared from everywhere. It was just like in a split second. It went from just this, it's wet, it's kind of pouring and everything, to the world's coming to an end thunderstorm.
One of my favorite things to do on this show is to get into the origins of some idioms, because idioms are always very interesting to me. And so I am currently on the Wikipedia page for the phrase raining cats and dogs. I will say this, here's a quick spoiler, is that there's not a clear-cut logic for it. There are a few theories. So I'd like to kind of get your guys' feeling on which one do you guys like the best.
My guess is somebody looked outside and saw cats and dogs actually falling from the sky.
It literally, the first paragraph says it is not necessarily related to the raining animals phenomenon. So, not that one, Rudy.
We'll see.
Is it a Noah's Ark thing? I don't know.
Here are a few bullet points from Wikipedia, which is always true. Drainage systems on buildings in 17th century Europe were poor and may have disgorged their contents during heavy showers, including the corpses of any animals that had accumulated in them. This occurrence is documented in Jonathan Swift's 1710 poem description of a city shower. That was dangerous. A city shower in which he describes, quote, drowned puppies, sinking sprats, all drenched in mud, dead cats and turnip tops come tumbling down the flood. I did not pre-read any of these. That one is dark.
You've said some words that I don't know if I've ever heard. Like sprats?
I don't know what that means either. I hope it's not a swear. So that's one option. And a very dark one from a poem in 1710.
I like it. Edgar Allan Poe.
Option number 2, cats and dogs may be a corruption for the Greek word katadupoi, referring to waterfalls on the Nile, possibly through the Old French word katadupe, waterfall. In Old English, katadupe meant a cataract or waterfall. Third option, cats and dogs may come from the Greek expression katadoxa, which means contrary to experience or belief, but there's no evidence to support the theory that it was borrowed by English speakers. If it is raining cats and dogs, it is raining unusually or unbelievably hard. In addition to at least one folk etymology, a, quote, explanation, unquote, widely circulated by email, come on, Wikipedia, claimed that in 16th century Europe, when peasant homes were commonly thatched, animals could crawl into the thatch to find shelter from the elements and would fall out during heavy rain. However, there seems to be no evidence in support of either assertion.
I like the last one.
There may not be a logical explanation. The phrase may have just been used for its nonsensical humor value, like other equivalent English expressions. It's raining pitchforks, hammer handles, etc. Matt, have you ever heard the phrase "it's raining pitchforks" or "it's raining hammer handles"?
You know, I'm from the Ozarks. I've heard a lot of things, but I've not heard those two. But I love the possibility that the phrase may just come from the fact that it kind of, dogs and cats kind of sounds like other languages.
Yes.
Expression.
It sounds kind of like katadoxa. That's my favorite also. It's like, oh, contrary to experience or belief. My least favorite one is apparently the one with the most evidence, which is that drowned puppies fall out of your water system when it rains. I hate that one the most. That one is my least favorite if I'm doing a power ranking. That one's at the bottom, and katadoxa is at the top.
Yeah, I can't top that. No, that's.
There are a lot of.
Next time I'm going to rain. I'm going to say it's just raining like katadoxas.
It's raining katadoxa in St. Joe at the end of Military Appreciation Day, apparently. A weird phenomenon that I was not aware of, but hopefully at least isn't literal. Matt, thank you for joining us, and I guess I will see you on Sunday.
Looking forward to it, my friend.
Matt's such a good liar. Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Again, ChiefsDigest.com. Plus, At Last is the book. You can buy it through the link in his Twitter bio and everything there. It's all right there. Other phrases from other languages that are translated to English here. The sky got torn. Raining old women with clubs. It's falling like ropes. God is taking a piss. God is crying. Rain is falling like pestles. Crowbars dropping. It's pouring like from a bucket. It's raining dog's poo. It's pouring out of basins. Boats and barrels. This is an incredibly long list. Like, I just got some boats. I read everything down to boats and barrels, and that is in, well, I'm going to go one more. Axes dropping. That is in Croatian, which is a C. And it goes all the way down to Welsh, which is W. Old ladies and sticks is the Welsh phrase.
I like that
Welsh equivalent. I'm going to read and see if I can find one real... Uh-oh. Ghost rain. I don't like ghost rain at all. It's raining little devils. It's raining husbands.
What does that mean?
Toads and snakes. That's in Spanish.
Oh, no.
It's raining toads and snakes. Is that better or worse than raining cats and dogs?
I mean, worse. I
sounds
hate snakes.
worse.
Okay, but here's the thing. Whenever those animals hit the ground, they're not surviving.
I don't know. Snakes are pretty, like...
I guess, but I don't... You know what I really don't want to see? A dog fall from the sky.
Better than a snake falling from the sky.
Disagree. I would much rather have a live snake at my feet than a dead dog.
Completely disagree.
Is
Say-
it a venomous snake?
Say the opposite, Rudy. Say the opposite of what I just said.
I would rather have at my feet a dead dog than a live snake.
We're going to think about that one over the course of the break.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
You know what, Mom? Why don't you take a second, stop watching Pride and Prejudice, and go kill an 8-year-old, huh?
Wow.
Whoa.
No.
With Joshua Brisco.
Let me try that again. Hey, Mom, why don't you stop watching Pride and Prejudice and go drop off a box of snakes at the doorstep of an 8-year-old?
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I forgot the connection point of that one. That's
It might
pretty
be
good.
one of my favorite liners that we have.
All right, so I have a few more ways of other languages saying it's the equivalent of it's raining cats and dogs. But first, I need to tell you about Esteri Tomula. They were a ceramic artist and designer in Finland. They died in 1998. And this is, I don't know. She's apparently a famous, she was 77, and she did a lot of ceramics. I mentioned that because in Finland, they say the phrase, it's raining like from Esteri's ass, according to Wikipedia. I feel like I'm missing a lot more important context, and I read 2 Wikipedia articles to have that to explain to you whenever we came back.
Huh.
It's raining old women. It's raining kittens. It's raining like from a beanstalk. It's raining as if poured from a bucket. In French, il pleut comme vaquipis. It's raining like a peeing cow. It's a pretty good one. And then I think my peeing cow is my first or second place of this list, competing directly with the Hebrew reign of anxiety, which just feels relatable, you know? It's just like I feel like I've needed that phrase in my life for a long time. More than I've needed the phrase, it's raining like a peeing cow.
I've never felt anxiety in my life.
Il pleut comme vaquipis.
Nothing but happiness and joy.
Pisse? There's an E at the end. What do you think?
Everywhere I go.
Piss or pisse? I'm gonna see if I can get
pisse,
Google
for
to
sure.
say. I'm gonna see if I can get Google to say this for me. Thanks for getting that, Derrick.
Make sure it's French Google.
I'm gonna go Google pronunciation. I'm trying to figure out. Well, it just gave me the description of the word pronunciation, which is not. I'm gonna go translate it, 'cause I think if you do a translation, maybe it will speak it. Okay.
Go to YouTube.
Whoa! Hold on a second. I pasted in "Il pleut comme vaquipisse," and in English it says it's raining cats and dogs. Now I was told that phrase said it's raining cow pee.
So Google Translate, when you're putting it from French to English, it will sometimes change it will deliberately change the meaning to like
Is
the
that
English.
true?
Yes, to like how we say it normally. So it very well still could be that what Wikipedia says is a translation could be it, but in America we would say it's raining cats and dogs. So Google Translate is like, hey, the phrase is it's raining cats and dogs.
I'm gonna try to translate it back the other way, but first
I took many foreign language classes and learned that Google Translate is not the greatest.
No.
Huh. Okay, well
Yeah.
let's hear how it sounds anyway.
Il pleut comme vache qui pisse.
Peace.
Il pleut comme vache qui pisse. Which, I'm flipping it around here. Let's see really quick here. Yeah, because if you go, it's raining cats and dogs, it says, il pleut des sucks d'eux.
Mm-hmm.
What I actually need is the phrase, oh man, this is too many tabs.
Raining cows pee.
like a peeing cow. Okay, so we're looking for the piece at the end is what we're looking for here. Well, this is, if you type it's raining like a peeing cow in Google, it says this instead.
Il pleut comme une vache qui fait pipi.
Oh,
Pee-pee.
oh, interesting. Oh, pee. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So what is
Google
just-
Translate is not. It also like does not take in. It also like does not. So like
It doesn't
in a
like
lot of-
conjugate or
Yes,
something.
in a lot of languages, words will change depending on the sentence, like how you use it in a sentence, obviously, and like its placement.
Huh.
Google does not like do that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
This is just peeing cow.
Vache qui fait pipi.
So yeah, if there's anybody who's like in college or high school, like, hey, I'm gonna use Google Translate to get like easy A's. Nope,
No.
nope,
No.
don't do it.
Pipi.
Oh, there's a part that says learn to pronounce. Like, maybe it'll help me. If I can't.
And one
Okay.
more time.
Pipi. Pee.
It's like so much more anger in that middle one.
It's in English. English is pee. Pee pee. It's so delicate. It's just such a light little.
One more time.
Pee pee.
And then.
Pee.
It's P, you
It's a
idiot.
very long, drawn out. Wow.
Oh, we are children.
I had so many like actual topics that I thought we would get through today, and I boy, I didn't think
That
we'd end
Google
up here.
Translate is like, hey, yeah, PP is P, you dummy.
It's P. It's stop. It basically Google Translate is like, stop making me say this, and I will after I do it one more time.
Pee pee. Pee.
P.
Pee.
P.
Is it changed? Does the inflection change?
Absolutely.
I think it did.
Everything
I think the
changes.
inflection changed. That's creepy. I'm closing it. Last one.
Pee pee.
I don't think, does Siri have like a French voice? I know there are a handful. I've gone through them all and
No?
just tried
Because
listening to see
Siri,
if
I believe, just has there's like British English, Australian. Because my
and there are
Siri,
male and female variants of
yes,
a bunch of them.
'cause
They're
my
like 8 or something. It's
my
not a
Siri
huge
is
number.
actually Australian, and that might be it actually.
I've got the Google and mine's different.
Oh, yeah,
But
yours-
also, those are all based on like, instead of like saying British female, it's
Mhm.
like a color.
I remember,
What?
I think
And
Google
that's
had
very
names for a
strange.
long time. It's like Carol.
Let's see.
Like, hi, I'm Carol. I'm your new Google Assistant. It's like, all right, Carol, that's not.
No. Let's see. I'm currently red.
I'm Jennifer. Well, okay,
You're-
Jennifer, I don't.
that's weird.
I'm Blake. I'm your Google Assistant. I guess, I mean, Amazon did that with Alexa. Like, they took a real
No,
human
the,
name.
The weird thing is not the human name. The weird thing is the color. Like Beards' setting is on red.
Is that right, Beards?
That's the default. The default one is red.
But like,
Really weird. Just
yeah, like
pick
it's
one other
Siri. Like Siri, it's the language.
one. Right. Or like the
Amazon
accent
was
or
like
whatever.
the name.
Yeah.
Apparently, the
So the options here
the
are
droid is colors.
the red, orange, amber, green, cyan, blue, purple, pink, British racing green, and Sydney Harbor blue.
That went a different one than I thought it was
What?
going to be. I heard British
And also
race,
Issa
and I was
Rae.
like, oh, here we go.
What was the last one?
Issa Rae, as in like the actress. She's I guess a special voice for they're doing for a little bit.
Can you play purple, really? I'd like to know what purple sounds
Yeah,
like.
give me 1 second here.
And then I would like to, well, then we can take a break and come back to anything
What's your
else.
least favorite, Beards?
I don't know. I haven't really experimented with all of these, so I don't know. I've just really
Well,
got.
just give me an idea.
For your
Just pick.
Google Assistant. If you like this voice and want me to keep using it, just stop here.
Do you like that voice?
That's
Beards?
purple. That's fine.
That's fine.
What do you have
Purple's
against
fine.
purple people, Beards?
Purple is fine. Whoa, purple androids. We cannot give humanity to androids that easily. It's going to be a fight, and we're going to lose it, but we've got to have that fight. We have to make them take that from us.
Here are the voices you can pick for your Google Assistant.
Bad. That one I don't
If you
like.
like this voice,
That's British
want me to
Racing
keep
Green.
using it,
It's-
just stop here.
It's not the voice. It's the
That's-
intonation, or it's like
Yeah.
it's the edges of the voice.
And obviously, like in America, like we have, depending on where you live, like we have different accents. Like even for like our English.
I don't
Same-
know what you're
same-
talking about.
Same in
What
not
accent is
same
that? Who
England.
knows?
I don't know where, but that's the part of England where you're like,
It's British racist
please
screen.
change.
Right. Did you want to play one more
Here are
bit?
the voices you can pick for your Google Assistant.
not-
If you like this voice and want me to keep using it, just stop here.
I don't. That one also makes it's
Sydney
sharp.
Harbor blue. It's fine. It's whatever.
It's the edges of it though that I don't
Yeah.
like. It's more robotic I think than I would like, and I also don't use my Siri that often.
Same.
Although I do have it now, I haven't changed it back, and I might just keep it whenever I have an AirPod and I get a text. It'll be like, Rudy Salazar, his text sent you a text,
I get the same thing.
and it's like, and then it just goes pee pee. And would you like to respond? No, I'm good actually, Siri. Thank you for trying, but I'll pass for now.
Apple just released or announced their first, I guess, home thing. Not home because they've always had homes, but like a Nest or Echo. $100
Don't they have?
You can get a little. I don't know what they're calling it now, but
They have the one that looks sort of like an air filter. I've had that one for a while. I was leaving like rings on people's tables and stuff.
oh, I guess maybe this is just a new model. Of that.
Is this
I
a
don't
small?
know.
You said it was like $100.
It was $100.
So I think maybe that's their response to like the Dot or
yeah,
whatever.
It's
like
like
it's
it's
smaller.
like it's an Echo Dot,
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had one that was like a tower. But it is kind of interesting, actually. Like, I think
And you can
most
get-
Alexas
it is
at this
like
point.
circular, and you can get a bunch of different colors. And
I think most Alexas and most Google Homes at this point, by the way, this one has been a nightmare if somebody's listening to this on speaker near some smart devices of theirs. I think most of the like original Alexas were like the tower, you know? And I think I can't even
My
remember.
parents had one of those, yeah.
I can't remember
But
what the
still do, I
Google
think.
one. I can't remember what the Google one was originally, but then it feels like the Echo Dots, which are the the ones like an inch tall or whatever, and the Google Home ones are like an inch tall now. I feel like they gave up on making it like a big speaker and started going smaller with it. Maybe that's what Apple's doing.
I
too.
mean, Amazon still has the thing where it's like got the TV screen on front of it or whatever. And it's got it's.
I think
the
that's a
size of
third thing. Though.
Yeah.
The Facebook has. I think
No,
it's called
that's fair.
Up the Portal or whatever. Is that what it's called? I
yeah,
think it's called
Facebook
the Portal.
Yeah, Facebook
Okay.
Portal. Yes.
I was having this conversation with somebody literally today. Like, I don't know that. I feel like in
HomePod.
that feels right. I feel like in 30 years in the future, I'm either going to live in a cabin with no internet or I'm going to be a full cyborg, and I'm pretty sure it's a cyborg.
Yeah, the HomePod Mini is what they just came out with.
Oh, it looks like a baseball with the top.
Yeah, and then of
shaved
course
off
you can get
with
a
some
bunch
lights.
of different colors.
Can I get one that has red stitches on it? Because that might be kind of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm trying to find.
Like
where
to
it
get
has
it when
colors.
it
I'm
looks
pretty
like
sure
a
I saw
baseball.
earlier. It was
I'll
like
just paint over it.
you can get like literally every like red, blue, green, like all the colors.
What about British Racing Green?
Well,
If they don't have British Racing Green, I don't want it.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Hello everyone. Thanks for clicking this videos. I will show how pronounce this word. Let's start. Penises. Penises.
With Joshua Brisco.
And one more time. Penises.
And one more time.
Penises. That's all.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll do shot clock reviews here in about 5 minutes from now. And, I just dropped a ring. That was louder than I thought it was going to be.
It was very
as
loud.
I was dropping. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna get it. Nobody panic. We'll do shot clock reviews here in about 5 minutes. It's one of my favorite segments that we do, and we've got a good number of things to review. I'm excited about what I have, at least. We'll see what Beards and Rudy bring to the table. Meh is fine. But we were talking during the break about just some of like the smart home stuff that is clearly right around the corner. I didn't know that Apple had like launched a whole bunch of new stuff like that. But
They're
I've
going,
got,
they're. It looks like they're going to be. They announced it. I don't know if it's officially happening yet.
I've got a Google Home like Mini, and Renee's got one. And so one of the best things that has, and this is a super simple application for it, but you can just link both of the little speakers up in different spaces. So we had, I'm trying to remember when this was, or also if either of you were here for, I don't think either of you were, so I'll explain it to both of you. And also no one listening right now was there.
Good point.
Like I was making my friends walk from the left side of the house to the right side, like the left side of kind of our big open living room to the right side into the kitchen, because there's like a distinct point where you can either hear the speaker on the far wall or the speaker on top of the fridge, but everyone can hear the exact same thing at all times, perfectly synced up and all of that. And the idea of just having like a really easy like $50 little setup of surround sound throughout your house is really neat. And that's why I'm definitely going to be a cyborg and not end up living in a cabin in the woods.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
In these trying times,
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
It's funny to everyone forever whenever you get given a PP up in a Pokemon game, right? Like, that never stops being funny for anybody else. Because it's been funny. That's what I'm saying. You go into our ads, you get some little PP up.
We have ads for that.
Yeah.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Time for one of my favorite segments that we do every once in a while. Our shot clock reviews. Here's how it works. We get a 24-second NBA shot clock. Beards, we got to put in a 14-second one at some point. I forget that we need to do that until the segment's happening.
I thought we just did it where it was another 24.
I mean, that is what we have been doing.
If we had a 14, we could. It's too high mind. Don't worry about it. We get 24 seconds to talk about a thing that we have watched, listened to, eaten, encountered, played, whatever. Since the last time we did a shot clock review. We have 24 seconds. One of your reviews, you are allowed, you make the shot and then you steal the inbound. So you get a full 24 seconds. That's the logic for it. On top of it, so you can call for the rebound. We'll give you a full second shot clock.
Old NBA rules. NBA rules.
That's fine. You can only do that once. And we've all got a whole bunch of things that we're going to talk about here. And it looks like I have the most, but some of these can wait until later, so that's fine. Are you guys ready? Do you feel prepared to review things in 24-second formats?
I remember something when you said food that it's been a while since I've had it, but I don't believe I ever talked about
it. Interesting. Okay. You did add a whole. I don't know how to even pronounce this last one. Let's start.
It's I'll just say. Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. Gail Tilden. Something I literally learned about like an hour before the show, and honestly, the fact that I've just now learned about this person is it's disrespectful.
Wow, I'm excited to hear about that.
For all of us, it's the last one for me, but somebody who is very important in our lives. So
You're saying that is your closing review.
That's
okay,
the closing.
Good. Okay, there's a good tease then. In the meantime, let's start with the thing that happened longest ago for most of us. Shot clock review in 24 seconds. Beards McFly, can I get a review of Getting Married?
I'm doing the review here?
That's you. I'm pointing. I'm talking. I said
Is
Beards
your name
McFly.
Beards McFly?
You're the one. It's yours.
Okay.
Come
None of us got
on
married.
down.
So, gotta admit, it was a good time. We had.
Gotta admit.
Like it was going to be bad.
I had no preparation. I didn't think about anything I was going to say here, but that's fine. Ceremony was great. Everything went off without a hitch, other than Rudy almost showing up late.
You guys got hitched.
I mean, I did show up.
So it went off with a hitch. You got hitched.
I didn't have enough cake of either of them. They were delicious, and I only had like one piece. I had a good time. It was great. 10 out of 10.
Rudy, I would like your review of Beards Getting Married.
Well, as Beards mentioned, I showed up at about 6:06 p.m. to a wedding that started at 6 p.m. Now, to be fair, they were going to wait 10 minutes to 6:10 p.m., but somebody said, no, everybody's here, let's go ahead. So whoever that person was, you get a 0 out of 10. But Granny taking a little extra time to get to her seat really saved me, so I at least got in before the groomsmen and all them sat down. I had a lot of fun. It was a good 10 out of 10.
I would like to review quickly Beards Getting Married. Rudy getting there late was such a joy. At that point, it's a 12 out of 10 experience for me because the fun we had waiting for Rudy and his girlfriend to show up were exceptional. It was a great time. The actual wedding itself was great. The venue was wonderful. The food was actually excellent, which I say shockingly because that's not Beards' MO.
A little head.
It was... Oh, I was going to do it all at once. You want to do... Okay, fine. The actual ceremony itself, they didn't ever call him Beards McFly. 0 out of 10.
Sorry, this might... This might, for whatever reason, this just might be on mine, actually. Mine has Beards' wedding and Beards' reception.
I think mine did, too, and I
so
deleted it. No, that's fine.
Why I was like, oh, got a little head.
I would like to review Beards' wedding reception. The drinks were good. The bartenders were nice. The food was excellent. There were some short ribs, some salmon, great sides. Again, all things that I would never expect Beards to have put on the menu. It was wonderful.
I chose short ribs.
What are you looking at?
The salmon. Like he liked it.
He likes seafood. Does Mick like seafood? That's the one I can never remember if Mick likes
seafood.
Beards,
salmon's okay with me, but it was tasty.
All the food was great. Company was good. Still, no one officially called him Beards McFly. 0 out of 10. Sorry, Beards. It was a 0 out of 20 wedding.
My mind is blown right now.
Rudy, I'd like your review of Beards' wedding reception.
Bartenders were very friendly. Very friendly. Here's what I will say. they were giving like I ordered a double whiskey and Coke, and I'm pretty sure I got a quadruple whiskey and Coke.
You got whiskey
I don't
with
know
the
if there was
idea
any
of
Coke
around it.
Like they were very friendly. Bartenders were great. The food was very, very good. I had a good time. Saw some good friends there. I give the reception 6 out of 10.
Beards, I would like your review. I would like your review of your own wedding reception.
I mean, I kind of talked about it already.
I know.
The fact that I didn't get enough of the cake. Man, the cake was so good though. The food was good. I don't know why we just didn't get a chance to eat all of it that we had because we had other things to do.
Renee tried warning you guys about that.
Yeah, well, listen, we walked around and got to meet some people that I didn't know. She met some people that she didn't know. We had a good time. Food was good.
I met your sister, which was weird because I'd never seen her before.
10 out of 10, by the way.
And it was just sort of weird to remember that you have a sister and that you have family and people that you know outside of this building.
I know.
It took me a while because your sister almost looked too normal.
Yeah,
to be your sister.
Also, no beard at all, and I just don't like.
Yeah, that threw me off.
Really disappointing. I got to be honest.
I know.
Well, it's your first name, not your last. Also, not a fly.
No.
Well, McFly.
I'd like to talk about a charity softball game I played in this weekend. So, Curtis Seabolt was actually doing the announcing for this game, so he will be able to sign off on some of these things. I was out here turning double plays, made some good defensive plays. I think every time I made contact, I got it out of the infield. They didn't all land. Some of them were caught, but they all made it into the outfield. I felt pretty good about it all. No strikeouts. I felt like I had a really good personal performance. Our team got shellacked, and I was so tired afterwards. That's the real hit here. It was exhausting to play a charity softball game, but it was great. 8 out of 10. I'm just really deeply out of shape. Rudy, tell me about the PS5 headphones.
Yeah, so I bought the headphones. I haven't had a chance to really break them in terms of I haven't played a PS5 game where they're designed for where you get the full 360 audio.
Sure.
But they are I would say pretty comfy. The only time I really find them to be uncomfortable is one time I had them on for 5 straight hours, and about the 5th hour I was like, oh, these kind of hurt my head a little bit. But I feel like that's a little bit of most headphones when you wear them for 5 hours. You start to notice them. I would say they're probably a solid 7.5 out of 10. Could be a little better, but they're good. They're solid.
Beards, tell me about your drive to Florida for your honeymoon.
So we had gone to Disney at a different time, and on the way there, it rained literally from St. Louis to Atlanta nonstop. Didn't happen this time. Woo! It was great. Rebecca last time also had a little bit of motion sickness, car sickness stuff. This time, we got her a little patch or whatever so that she didn't get car sick. She was able to drive more this time, so that meant I didn't have to drive the whole time this time. It was great. Way better. It's still a really long drive.
Long drive.
Yeah, it's a 6 out of 10, but it was better than last time.
I will say I'm the type of person, no matter how long a drive is, I kind of want to drive the whole time because otherwise I'm almost bored. It helped for me. It's almost speeds up the trip. I've driven from Padre to Wichita was I did the whole trip was 15 hours.
I really don't like driving that much. At one point, me and some friends, we took a van to a friend's wedding in Ohio. I don't think I ended up driving until the very end on the way back because everyone else was that way.
Oh, I remember this story. Is this the one I'm thinking of?
Oh, I don't even know.
I remember you going to this
milkshakes and wherever. Froyo milkshakes, something. I'll
remember?
Find the liner.
Okay. I don't have dude. I have not even a glimmer of a recognition in my eye on that one. But what I was going to say is I would rather be a passenger, except for whenever Renee and I are going somewhere, in which case I will not let my hands off the wheel even when we are fully parked out of fear that she will then begin driving. That's my nightmare.
I am the long distance driver in this regard. Rebecca will do city driving. I am just give me music / a podcast or whatever, and I'm good for 4 or 5 hours. She is not that way. So
I genuinely really love driving. Again, and maybe this might be because I drove from KC to Lexington a bunch, so there and it's only 8 hours, but it's just I like driving. And
I get sleepy no matter what,
and I feel more comfortable behind the wheel, right? Because I'm in control now.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way when my friends were driving. I do feel that way whenever Renee's in the car.
Unless I come with my dad, then I feel weird if I drive. Because my dad just almost always drives. Same with my mom. If I'm with my parents, it's weird if I'm driving.
Yes, that's a great call. I would like to talk to you about Mario Golf Super Rush. It's a new Mario Golf game, RPG game with a story mode on the Nintendo Switch. I was playing some of it last night, and I finally got to a weirdly massive plot twist in the adventure mode that I did not expect. It is an imperfect game, but it is a fun game. I have enjoyed it very much, even though I do think there are lots of things they could have done pretty significantly better. The story is pretty weak, at least until you get set like many hours in and then find the M. Night Shyamalan old plot twist. But I've enjoyed it quite a bit. 7.5 out of 10.
I don't know I haven't played the game, but I've heard a couple times and read a couple times the exact same thing you just said.
Really weird.
Yeah, the story is actually pretty good once you get to the.
I'm not even sure if it's good at that point,
well,
but it's just it was not very good until that point, and now I don't know.
And then it gets better, and maybe it's still
fun,
not good, but compared to the first part. The point being, yes, that. I think where you are at now is where it actually gets all right at the very least.
Rudy, would you please review for us the new Legend of Zelda Joy-Cons that you've got and the Zelda Skyward Sword HD remake?
Yeah, so both literally just came out last Friday. I haven't had a chance to really I haven't had a chance to necessarily play it yet, but I've gotten the game. I've seen gameplay, people playing the game on Twitch a handful of times. Joy-Cons are beautiful, super well done. They're blue and purple to kind of symbolize the shield and the sword, and so obviously you can play with any Joy-Con with the game. But it is a game that is a motion capture game. I'm pretty excited. It's the first game in the Zelda timeline that explains the whole timeline. I would say the Joy-Cons looks-wise, are easy at 9 out of 10.
It sounds like an offensive rebound.
It bounced on the rim for a little bit, and then bounced out. What was the score?
Oh, I was just saying just the Joy-Cons were easy 9 out of 10. They're beautiful.
Beards. I guess I'm going to keep going down your list. We're going to get chronological reviews from you. Review of Magic Kingdom.
That's where we went first. I'd been there before. It's pretty good. Disney's really, really good at just making this world, and it's very well done. Lines are a bit long somewhere. It's not quite my speed. That's more, a little younger kids kind of stuff. It's stuff that I enjoy. There's some fun stuff there, but it's not necessarily everything that I enjoy. It's really well done, though. Also, the place we went and ate food at, it was pretty good. I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's also a little high.
Sounds like an offensive rebound.
I would like to talk about the...
Sorry, I just had to.
I would like to talk about the new Tyler, the Creator album, Call Me If You Get Lost. If you haven't followed Tyler, the Creator, I find this to be an incredibly interesting payoff to what has been his career to this point. He had some sort of heavier, kind of almost grungier stuff earlier in his career, Goblin, and you get through all of the Odd Future stuff. And then he grew in a lot of ways. Flower Boy was super interesting. Igor got a ton of critical acclaim. Call Me If You Get Lost is really a combination of all of those things stylistically, and in some ways, maybe my favorite of any of his albums. I've enjoyed it a ton. It's a 9 out of 10 album. I think it's great. Rudy, tell me about your Parks and Recreation rewatch.
I've enjoyed it. It's been a couple weeks since I've probably sat down and watched an episode.
Yeah, it's an old list.
But it's really nice. Again, it was kind of like with The Office, right? And then just especially with Parks and Rec, because I haven't seen it in forever. And so especially those earlier seasons, I just forgot how different those characters really were in the first 3 seasons. Ron Swanson is a very different character in those first couple seasons than he is at the end, which is kind of how people remember him. It's a great show. It's a good 8 out of 10.
Beards.
Yeah.
Tell me about Hollywood Studios, I guess.
So it was my first time going to Hollywood Studios. It was Rebecca's first time going to Hollywood Studios. It was fun.
Is it in Florida?
Yeah, it's
Hollywood's in California.
How dare.
I'm genuinely. That's fine.
No,
that's a block by me.
It's just another park. It's got more some of the movie stuff. So there was the Toy Story section, which was really good. They have a Muppets thing, which the show we went for that for was excellent. There's only really one thing that we did that we went out and was it was a waste of time. Also, lightsabers and Star Wars. 8 out of 10.
You're taking a rebound right now? No.
Okay. 8 out of 10.
What was not good? What was the not good part?
There was a little video that we went and saw.
You got fouled. This is your free throw.
Okay,
yes,
fine.
I was gonna say you did. Yeah.
I fouled you for sure.
So we had gone and seen the Muppets thing, and it was a 3D kind of experience. That was great. That was excellent. And then we left that because we had time to kill before we went to go do my lightsaber building.
This much time.
And there was this.
This is a Giannis. 7.
There was a Mickey and Minnie short that they did. Those on a vacation. The animation was just really weird and annoying,
13,
and it was very loud and just all over the place.
15,
that part wasn't great.
Rex, blow the effing whistle!
Come on!
Made it. So that was the only thing.
I would like to talk.
It also rained a lot while we were there.
You know, while we're here, you know what I'd like to review real quick? I'd like to have a shot clock review of.
What's that, John?
Watching your team lose 3, maybe 4 straight games in the NBA bleeping finals. It sucks! I hate it! They went up 2-0, went and lost twice on the road. Everybody can take some amount of blame. It's fine. Monty Williams and Chris Paul. I guess a little bit Devin Booker, but not really. Every role player. I hate it! How much time do I have left, Beards?
10, 8.
0 out of 10! Rudy, what did you think about Loki?
Yeah, so I just finished Loki actually this morning. Watched the last episode.
Spoiler-free? Spoiler-free?
It is. Disney Plus is continuing, like, I think their trend of making really good shows. I think in large part because they can kind of go into characters a little bit more. I like shows that have a lot of more deeper, I guess, themes into it that their movies don't really touch on, that the shows do. WandaVision had a lot with dealing with grief. Falcon Winter Soldier had PTSD. This has kind of just, like, being able to love yourself, I guess. Like, it's really, really good. I would say 9 out of 10.
I would like to review Loki. It's really good. I liked it a lot. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. And as WandaVision went on, I think I liked each episode a little bit less than the one before. Not as a cold, hard rule, but more or less, because it got more superhero-y as it went on.
For sure.
And I liked that less and less. Loki eventually tiptoes with some real superhero-y stuff, but then it gets back to what it does really well, which is dealing with time and timelines and some really unique concepts in a very like I'll take my rebound here. I'll take my rebound. In a way that I think Nintendo does well, where you take something bigger and you shine it up a little bit. Disney also does that very well. So I never felt lost. Also, Owen Wilson is in it, and he's great.
So good.
I really liked it. I liked WandaVision quite a bit. I liked Loki a little bit more. I think it's a real achievement. It's also only 6 episodes. So if you haven't watched it, I would legitimately encourage it.
Very good.
I really liked it. I like where they went with some things. Also was surprised plenty of times along the way as well. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
I will say, if you're somebody who's like wants to be like if you're really big into the Marvel like cinematic universe, that timeline, you're wondering, is this show vital? I think this show is going to be
important.
Super important.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
I would say out of the 3 shows, it is by far the most important so far.
Yeah. And I haven't watched Falcon Winter Soldier also, just for the record.
Good show. It's I think it's very good. I would say the worst of the 3, but it's a good show.
Okay, Beards.
Yeah.
This is a distinctly different thing to review.
Okay.
I would like for you to give us a shot clock review of Being Married.
So, I mean, there's really been only a couple of big changes so far. First of all, I have to wear this ring on my finger, which I've never been like an accessories person. So that's getting used to that. I couldn't talk there for a second. Don't mind me.
Stunned.
The other thing is, we've been trying to change Rebecca's name, and that's been a whole process. And finally, we're getting around to doing some of that stuff, but it was like, we have to have this and this and this, and so that's been weird. 10 out of 10.
I mean, I'm not surprised that, Rebecca McFly is like hard to change it to. They're probably like,
You need a marriage
they're like, this is a
certificate,
joke.
You need,
It's like,
you need
no,
a marriage
it's
certificate
real.
to do this and that, and we had to wait for that to get mailed back and all this other stuff.
Hey, Beards.
Yes.
So get in real close.
Yeah.
So she has to change her name anyway.
Right.
At this point, it would probably be pretty easy for you to also go through that process. Can you guys
change it to Nathan Wilhelm?
No, that's a stupid name. Could you guys legally be the McFly family? Like, you could do that.
I
and
mean,
you could sort of sometimes couples will do that where they'll take like a new name.
I
you
mean,
know?
we could. I don't think we're going to do that, but we could.
Okay, here's a little Beards. I want you to think about this.
So
okay.
are you actually married then?
Beards, I don't want you to answer this question till you've thought about it for a second. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not talking about just me and Rudy. I'm talking if I go to the internet, if I go around the station with an envelope, and I say, Beards, I have X amount of dollars cash for you right now, for you guys to both legally change. I don't care what you do with your first name. That's up to you. If you want to keep it as Beards or change it to something dumb or whatever. But for you both to legally change your last name to McFly, what would the amount of money be? And you cannot change it back for at least the next 25 years.
$10 million.
You wouldn't do it for $9 million? Not for
That is
$9,999,000?
Bad answer.
Why?
I would change my last
It's just your last name.
I would change my last name to Bleep for Brains for $1 million.
I would do it for $100,000.
To Bleep for Brains?
Yeah. Gotta pay off my student loans.
What about $1,000?
My life would no,
Would you change your last? Okay, Rudy, I want you to think about this before you answer. How much money in an envelope right now to hand to you? You can't change it back. Would it take for you to change your last name to Salad Bar? One word. One word. You have to change any of your social handles. They're all not that Rudy, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I would definitely, again, I would 100% do it for my student loans. So you're talking about $70K.
Oh.
Probably 50. Feels like a good
Permanently
cutoff.
change your last name to Salad Bar.
Yeah.
I think for me, the question is how much would it take for me to add an E? I think that's really it.
How much?
How much?
$9,999,999.
Honestly,
Pay
like,
me before you pay Beards.
if the answer, I feel like if somebody legitimately was like, "Hey, here's $100
grand feel exactly right to me.
Because like,
Yeah, but I was like 50, like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. It's just on my driver's license, right? Like I don't even have to change my socials.
I would definitely be
Oh
like,
God, if it cost me my verification badge, I would never do it.
I would
Any amount of money.
definitely be like, I mean, you don't have to change your Twitter. That's not
That's the thing. If I can just keep that, if it's on my driver's license, I'll do it for $150.
I would definitely like be like negotiating, just hey, pay my student loans off, because
Yeah.
like that would be life changing.
We really need to find an eccentric billionaire who wants us to do strangely weird but not incredibly harmful things to ourselves for
Just to pay off
decent
my
amounts of money.
Student loans.
Hey, Jeff.
It would seriously drastically change my life.
Hey, Mr. Bezos, you're literally lighting money on fire to go to space for like a second right now. Why don't you pay Rudy $70,000 to change his last name to Salad Bar?
Hey, Bezos.
You would like think about how cool that is, and you can also you can change your last name to Bezos, Baezos.
Hey, Bezos. Why don't you just pay your taxes? Just like a little bit.
I would say all of a bit actually would be good. All right. Anyway, what was the last review before that?
Me?
Yeah, you getting married. It was you being married.
Here's being married.
I would like to talk about a video game that I played last night for the first time called Overboard.
Oh.
This is a besties recommendation. Here's how it works. It's a kind of a 2D game, kind of Telltale stuff, but it's more cartoonish. You're making dialogue choices more than anything else. You are a woman who has just thrown her husband overboard. It's in the 1930s or 40s, and by the time you get to land, you need to make sure that you are not caught committing that crime. The inciting incident is that you are definitely the bad guy. You definitely threw your husband overboard. Then you have to make decisions to try to clear yourself by the time you get back to land. It is a fun game. Renee and I played it together. She never plays video games with me. And it's dialogue based, so it's very easy to do that with. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 on and everyone, it's like $20 on the Switch store, maybe 15. It's fun. If you like Telltale games, you should play it.
Interesting.
Tipped it in. It was on bouncing on the rim there again. It's
Why
fun
shot?
though.
International rules.
I would say try Overboard. It's fun. Rudy, why don't you? What?
What?
What is it? Rudy, bison fillet?
Yeah, so I was
Bison fillet.
Maybe 6 weeks ago was with my dad down in Oklahoma, and I went to him at the casino finally for the first time.
Okay, yes.
And they just like we got free everything. So we went to this really, 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 really nice steak place, and their specialty is a bison fillet. And oh my goodness, this might be the finest meat I've ever had in my life.
Woo!
It was so tender. I need my offensive rebound.
Oh!
It was so juicy. I have never had a meal as good as this meal. If I could just have bison fillet served to me like once a week for the rest of my life,
Really?
my life would be 10 times better. Just from that. It is so good, man. So good. 10 out of 10. Try bison fillet if you get a chance.
Do you want me to blow your mind?
No.
I've had bison burger before.
Well,
That
I
was a little
thought it was a
different.
burger also.
No.
Yeah.
Not a burger.
But it's not a burger.
It's a
It is
fillet.
it is like a steak.
It's a steak,
It's a
yeah.
bison steak. Which that is what I made. That's what my confusion was, because you told us about this at one point, and I've also had a bison burger, and it's very good. But a bison steak,
It's.
I have not had before.
It's. Oof. It was an
Interesting.
experience, man.
Sounds delicious.
It was an experience.
I'm a little hungry.
Also,
right now.
having a dinner that was like, let's just say hit 4 digits and was free is, I've never had that experience before.
What'd you have for your sides? What were your sides? Didn't matter. It was more bison.
potatoes.
Double bison.
I'm sure it was definitely, potato. Yeah, it came with like a vegetable, like kind of grilled vegetable medley and potatoes.
Beards, can I get your shot clock review, please, of the Celtics hiring Ime Udoka, their first black coach in Celtics history?
You mean I'm Udoka? Are you hacked?
Not. Review.
I'm excited for it. I was kind of interested in like Chauncey Billups, although there's some stuff there that's not really a thing anymore. I was interested in Sam Cassell a little bit, but everything I've heard about this guy seems really good so far. Guy? The players really like him. He's done some stuff, I think, with Team USA before, so like they know him, and that's a good thing. Every quote that I've seen on like Celtics Reddit's a good thing. So like I'm excited. 8 out of 10. Let's see what he does.
Rick Carlisle, that's who.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was trying to remember.
11 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. I would have enjoyed that.
What would it have been? What would Rick Carlisle have been?
Players would have hated Rick Carlisle.
Maybe.
If Ime Udoka was an 8, what would Rick Carlisle
8.5. 8.5, 8.9.
The players, Rick Carlisle hasn't won a meaningful game in a decade, and the players would have hated him.
And Beard still gave him an extra point. I wonder why. I'd like to talk to you about the rebooting of a new edition of maybe my favorite podcast, The Adventure Zone, and their new arc, The Adventure Zone Ethersea. This is, they did a prequel sort of world-building series of episodes. I think they did 4 of those that I really enjoyed. Now, they've done 1 episode, like, within the actual game world itself with the characters and everything. I will say that the characters did not immediately, like, fully set their hooks in me. I'm sure it's going to go on and be very, very good. Griffin's DMing again, as was the case with Balance, and most recently with Graduation Travis DMing wasn't as good. I'm really excited about it. I loved the prequel. I'm at a strong 8 out of 10 for the Adventure Zone Ethersea.
Old Uncle Joshy.
Uncle Joshy really is a bright spot.
That's going to be maybe the highlight of the character. Of that arc, I think.
Rudy, would you please tell me about your shot clock review of Pokemon Go Fest?
Yeah, so this was the obviously their yearly Go Fest. It was also the 5th anniversary.
And Pokemon Go.
And Pokemon Go, yes. And normally I'm able to like really like I guess do the whole thing the whole time. I was working a bit, so I wasn't able to fully immerse myself. But from what I was able to get, like honestly, like I enjoyed it. Like it was $5, and I thought I got way more than $5 worth of entertainment from the 2 days. I thought they had fun little stories. Like I just thought it was really well done, and I think it was a nice, let's say 7.5 out of 10.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very good.
Though.
It was well done.
I've clicked the wrong tab. I'm sorry. I've ruined the flame. I've ruined the.
I got 2 shiny legendaries. So
How dare you?
Great.
I'm happy.
I've lost the flow.
I know I'm just buying time.
Beards, can I get your 24-second shot clock review of this is the worst NBA Finals of all time?
So are the only people saying this Lakers fans and Nets fans whose favorite players got there last year? This has been fun. This is good to see like the new guys coming in with Giannis actually breaking through after the last several years, and the Suns coming out of not quite nowhere, but like they were,
a decade of misery.
Yeah, a decade of misery. That's great.
Yeah.
And to see like Atlanta make it to the conference finals, and the Clippers make it out. That was great. This has been fun. This has been a 9 out of 10 playoff so far.
I would have agreed with basically every word you said 3 games ago.
There's still time.
It's been very chaotic.
Still time.
Which is good.
I might barf tomorrow.
Considering that like there's a good chance starting next year we're gonna get back to another decade of like kind of just what you expect throughout the NBA.
Another
playoffs.
decade of LeBron.
Yeah, but like this
50s.
has been very fun because like the NBA traditionally like you don't know exactly what's gonna happen. You have a pretty dang good idea. This year has been chaos and it's been fun because of that. It's fun to get that little mix up here and there.
Rudy, tell me about Wastelander's Old Man Star-Lord podcast.
Yeah, so it is a Sirius XM and Marvel Studios podcast, kind of like the Wolverine thing to an extent.
I like the Wolverine one.
And so the story is obviously called Wastelanders, and it's about it is based around Star-Lord and Rocket, but they are much older. And I've only 1 episode in, but basically they are in a sticky situation, and Star-Lord is kind of telling the story to what Rocket calls a skinbot, which is just a robot that wants to be human, but skinbot is just a very entertaining word. It seems intriguing. Like I would say so far, it's 1 episode in, a 7 out of 10. I'm intrigued by it.
How far in the future does this take place?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Ballpark-ish? Like, do you have a loose idea? Had to guess?
Oh, I would say he's probably in his 40s. I would assume.
Oh, you think an old man is in his 40s? That qualifies as old man?
I mean, I don't think Star-Lord is going on adventures when he's 60, but also Han Solo was.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe.
Well, here's the
Let's
thing.
say 50s.
Here's the main thing. I just Googled how long do raccoons live, and it says 2 to 3 years in the wild.
Well, Rocket is not. He's like a bio, like.
I just think that it's a question that should be posed.
That's
how
fair.
much longer do we have Rocket with us?
That's fair.
I'm just worried about
he
Rocket.
survived the Thanos snap. So.
I guess that's
You can survive a lot, man. If you can survive the snap, you can survive a lot.
Beards, tell me about the Dream Team tapes.
This had originally come out last year, when they had all like the Last Dance stuff. Jack McCallum, who wrote like the Dream Team book about that '92 team, he had a bunch of like old audio that he hadn't gone through yet, and so it was this podcast series about the team, and it had interviews and stuff from all the guys. Some of the audio is a little not great to hear sometimes. It's a little difficult because it's old technology.
Sure.
That I would give like a 7 out of 10. It's still interesting and entertaining. I'm going to use my offensive rebound here.
Oh, late game offensive rebound.
Because
I could have used one of those last night.
He had Dream Team tapes the sequel about the 2008 Redeem Team, and that was really interesting. They had Carmelo talking. They had Jason Kidd, Darren Williams. They had a whole bunch of the guys talk. Coach K. He also had Jay Adonde as a co-host for that series, and it was really interesting to hear that because it was about kind of like LeBron and Kobe and like their whole evolution of that team and getting to the gold medal game. It was really good. I'd give that like an 8 out of 10. You should listen to him.
Here's my last one, and then here's my last one. It is a rewatch of season 1 of Ted Lasso. Season 2 is very close around the corner. I can't remember exactly when it comes out, but I think it is within the next few days. And girlfriend Renee had not watched it yet. We have a couple episodes left in the rewatch, but it is just such a fully wonderful show. Which also reminds me of the GQ interview with Jason Sudeikis. Everyone should read. That interview is a 9 out of 10. Ted Lasso season 1 also a 9 out of 10. We might actually read some of that GQ interview at some point. I put it in the Google Doc for this week. But it's a wonderful show. If you haven't watched it yet, somehow everything everyone says about it is true. It's a 9 out of 10 show.
I like Jason Sudeikis.
I really do too. Beards, back to you for your final one, whatever that one is.
Okay.
It is, hold on, we all know it, and we all know what your last one is.
We all
It's
definitely know
U.S.
that it
Olympics
is.
basketball.
So listen, it hasn't been great so far. They're like 2-2. How the heck did that happen? And now, they've got guys that left, and now Zach LaVine's in health and safety protocols, and he might not be there. They should be the favorites still. They're going to make you sweat every game. They still need a point guard, which they're not going to get now probably unless LaVine's just like out. JaVale McGee is now on the team. That alone makes it great. 7 out of 10. We'll see what happens.
I've heard a birdie has told me, and by birdie I was listening to a podcast where a birdie told
Twitter.
that person
Okay.
that basically the U.S. Olympic team let's just say in Vegas they're enjoying themselves.
That doesn't surprise me.
And that they just haven't really been taking the warm-up games seriously because their warm-up games and the games don't matter, and they're just like, you know what?
Also probably.
Let's have some fun.
Also, it'll be nice whenever Devin Booker gets there that maybe we'll have some good teammates around who can help him out a little
Like
bit.
Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
They'll be there.
Keldon Johnson's the savior, baby. Kentucky basketball.
I hate it here.
How do you think that plane ride is going to be to Tokyo with the three of them?
I mean, I think Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday are just going to be staring at Devin Booker like, I can't believe you won 2 in a row to take us down. We were so close. That's what I think is going to happen.
I like Rudy's answer. All right, Rudy, take us home here. Final review of Shot Clock Reviews tonight. I don't know what it is. As previously teased, please review in Shot Clock form Gail Tilden.
So I've never heard of Gail Tilden before, and honestly, it is disrespectful because here's a little thing on Gail Tilden. She joined Nintendo. She used to work for Nintendo back in 1983. And basically, to sum up, she's worked for Nintendo from 1983 to like 2007. She moved her way up. She helped create Nintendo Power, which is obviously like a very iconic magazine growing up. But she is the reason that Pokemon got brought to America.
Have you used a rebound yet?
I have.
Okay.
But that's all I need to say. Gail Tilden,
interesting.
thank you.
Yeah.
Without you, I'm not happy.
As opposed to now, peak of happiness 24/7.
Well, at least there's
Can
some.
you please give her a
I have-
Out of 10?
a score out of 10?
10 out of 10. Gail Tilden's responsible for like the little speck of happiness in my life. Thank
All
you, Gail
right.
Tilden.
Thank you, Gail.
I will say one thing because it's funny. Part of her job at the end was to make sure the brand, the branding was consistent that Nintendo wanted for their series because of the Super Mario movie back in 1993.
Because
it was
that
basically
was
so
such a
bad,
disaster.
they promoted her to like, hey, we need you to make sure this doesn't happen again.
That's very good. All right, there it is. There's your Shot Clock Reviews for tonight. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, we're either going to talk about something else or open a box. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out during the break.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Time flies when you're talking about your dad's furry empire that you ruined, and then the long drives back from St. Louis you never fully forgive your friends for.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That was a different trip, Beards. But I at least now know what on earth you were talking about and how you knew the details of my life better than I did.
That's because you told that story.
I've told a lot of stories that I never think about again or forget I tell on the radio.
That's also fair.
And then there's also the story about that guy who asked if Renee and I were swingers.
I was just thinking about that story as you were saying that.
And that story I've thought about pretty much like once every 3 or 4 months ever since that happened. I mean, that story was years ago. And I don't even remember the details of it as much as the payoff was that he started basically just like reading us his resume. Of like he's like a nursing student, like had his own car or whatever. He's like, dude, I'm sorry, none of this moves the needle literally at all for you, my man. I hope you found love with whoever or whomever or however many evers you need for you to get your stuff figured out. But it's not gonna happen here. We were downtown on Cinco de Mayo, just like crossing the street. That's the thing else I remember vividly. Like we got like cornered at a crosswalk, begging to God in heaven to turn that light green so we could go. Anyway, all very weird. I think completely unrelated.
And now
we have a box here sent from our friends at Manscaped.
Big old package from Manscaped.
Let Manscaped help your big package.
Here's a heavy package.
It's a big heavy package. If you go to manscaped.com and use the promo code ALMOST, you can get free shipping and 20%.
You know what? I bought something off Manscaped today. And
really? We've had this box here for like several days.
I did buy.
What did you buy on Manscaped?
I bought their boxers.
You bought more boxers?
I really like their boxers.
You bought a lot of the Manscaped boxers. They are excellent.
I only bought 3, and now I have 6.
Promo code ALMOST gets you free shipping and 20% off.
God, I'm pretty sure it's 20 because 45.
It's a great deal.
It is 20 because
20% off and free shipping.
I saved $9, and $9 of what I paid was 20%. So,
That's awesome. That's a great deal.
Speaking of the boxers, here's more information than you wanted to know. Guess what I wore when I got married?
Were you wearing Manscaped underwear when you got married?
Yeah, they were underwear. They were good.
I legit.
I'm so proud.
I legit will think to myself.
We've got to tell the Manscaped people.
No joke. Before, like when I only had the one pair, I would honestly think about, okay, what's the best day to wear these weeks? And I'd always wear them on a day.
Were you also wearing Manscaped underwear to Beards' wedding?
I don't remember. Might have, probably. But usually I wear them on days where it's like, okay.
I also might have been.
Where like I'm my most busy, right? Like if I'm doing a remote or like pickleball tournament, I'm wearing Manscaped underwear. I'm wearing those boxers because they're great.
Yeah,
they are great.
They're great. If I'm just like sitting around and like pretty soon all of my boxers would be Manscaped and I'll be wearing them every day. But if I was just sitting around and it's like, okay, I need to save my Manscaped boxers for the busy days. But if I'm just sitting around the office all day, I'll just wear my old crummy ones. Manscaped boxers.
Free advertising, baby.
It's just a lot.
Seriously. I seriously love the boxers.
I got married in those.
So bleepy much.
I got married in those. Is such a good tagline, Beards.
Yeah.
We've got to see if we can get them to put you on a video or something. Hi, I'm Beards McFly from Almost Entirely Sports.
Underneath this tuxedo, there's a pair of Manscaped underwear.
No, you're wearing the tuxedo top, just the boxers.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That is.
And my cowboy boots, of course, that I wore.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full top tux, cowboy boots, Manscaped underwear, and a smile. Let's open this box. They sent us some more stuff. I really appreciate that. Again, promo code ALMOST at manscaped.com. You've heard us say this enough times now. Also, they're not making us unbox it. We're just doing this because I like unboxing things. And I genuinely am a huge fan of everything we've gotten from them.
Yeah.
You might be thinking, and I would get it if you're like, oh, Manscaped. They advertise on every single thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a monopoly on male grooming.
A monopoly.
And I would say I understand if you would wonder about that, but it's a legitimately awesome product.
I'm really hoping there's some boxers in there.
Well, so here's on the top here, we got a bag of crop mops.
Crop mop.
These are wipes for your crops. 15 individually wrapped wipes.
Okay.
Anti-chafing, moisturizing, deodorizing ball wipes. Perfect for on the go. Active life, work, travel, dating, it says.
Golf.
Getting married.
Remote.
Getting married.
Those seem like those are probably good. There you go, Rudy. There are your crop mops. I'll take these. Because I gotta say, I don't see a third one off the top here. We'll dig it. There are definitely triples of a lot of things. It might just be under these. Off the top here, look at this glorious gold trim box.
I thought about buying this today.
Did you seriously?
I did not buy it. I thought about it.
This here is the weed whacker.
I've been weirdly thinking about getting one of these because I think I'm OCD in the sense that like
I feel like going crazy.
I feel like I can feel if my nose hair gets too long. I feel like I can feel it, and it bothers me so much. And to have like a good one.
Here you go, the Manscaped
I'm excited.
Weed Whacker. Yes, sirs. There are 3 of them in here.
That excites me.
Great bag, little charging case.
That makes me very happy.
You get yourself a Weed Whacker, whack those nose hairs.
I was saving some money.
Look at that. Well, because Manscaped's taking care of us, man.
I was legit going to buy one.
Rudy, that's for you. Here's got yours in here also.
Excellent.
Very excited.
Really exciting. Oh my good grief. It's like Christmas, man. It's like testicular Christmas in here. We've got the crop cleanser.
Somewhere else.
This is a hair and body wash.
Ah.
I've about run out of my last body wash that I've moved to being a bar of soap guy over the last couple of years. I'm not a huge fan either way. But I haven't found a body wash that I love that much.
Here's the trick.
This might be it.
Here's the trick. You do both. Because soap kind of leaves you almost like dry skin.
Yeah.
So you soap because that's what really cleans you. And then you body wash.
Beards, I find your crop mops.
Oh, thank you.
Then you body wash to like moisturize the skin so you don't have that weird dry feeling from the soap.
Sure.
And also just go both.
There are boxes individually wrapped over here that I do not know what they are.
Uh-oh.
That I do not think were in the email, so that's very exciting. We have the foot dust. What? Really? The foot duster, cooling foot deodorant. Huh.
So seriously,
I got some stinky toes. This is also genius.
I like their product so much. Like I was just looking at them today after I bought the box, and like the plan was kind of like every month I was just going to kind of like purchase like each of these products. Right?
It's actually excellent.
They're fantastic.
Okay,
I'm very happy.
I think I've got these sorted out. We have. I think we got these in the first round. It's excellent. It is the Crop Reviver. It is a toner.
Yeah.
Not for your feet, and not for your head.
In between.
Somewhere about half in between.
Your belly button.
Not your belly button either. Also, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
So
many incredible we have, and they're great. It's great. I've used it.
Yeah.
Is that too much information? I don't know, man. It's
No,
Manscaped.
I use
Manscaped
them.
is a box of stuff. I'm really stoked about the body wash.
Yeah.
This is very exciting. And then there are 3 boxes here that I do not know. There's a lot of gold. It's very shiny.
What could it be?
I don't know. Here, do you want to open your own,
Yeah,
Rudy?
yeah,
I guess I can just
yeah.
hand
I
you that
would,
one.
It says refined.
It says refined. Oh, I do know what this is. A magnet box. It is a bottle of cologne.
Huh.
Did you know, man?
I did know they
It
had cologne.
smells
I just didn't. I
good.
forgot what it was called.
Manscaped has cologne now.
Wow,
I forgot about that completely.
I really like this box.
It's a little square,
They have
and I
good
love
packages.
it.
I'm a big
Such
fan.
good-
I'm a big
Manscaped
fan
has
of a good package.
Manscaped has great packages.
This is seriously, guys, just like this box is.
Package, Rudy. This package.
This package. Just listen to that.
I like it.
This is a good
I've smelled it.
package.
It smells good. You smell it, Rudy?
I haven't
Here,
smelled
open
it
your
yet.
mouth. He did it. Why did you?
I closed my mouth before I got there.
It does not say on the box anywhere that this is for. Don't open your mouth when you spray the cologne.
Don't do it. It does smell good.
It smells really nice.
Wow.
What a great package Manscaped has given us.
I now have the
In so many
confidence to
ways.
conquer all.
I want to stop this show right now and just start just covering myself in Manscaped products. Even
is
more than I
awesome.
already have with the last time they sent us a great package.
Thank you, Manscaped.
What an incredible set of packages from Manscaped. Currently, right now, we are sitting in a studio filled with no less than like a dozen, 2 dozen distinct packaged items. So
Very happy.
Manscaped.com, promo code ALMOST. Free shipping, 20% off. I'm telling you, again, like,
I'm going to need to buy some underwear.
the underwear are great.
Yes.
The underwear are excellent.
It's the best underwear.
They have sent us so much great stuff, and genuinely, again, like, at this point, we're here to go above and beyond the call of grooming duty, because the actual lawnmower is impeccable. It
Fantastic.
just works great. It just does work. All of the products are great. This is the best this studio has ever smelled, by the way.
Yes.
I have never in my life sat in this
It
studio and
smells
gone,
so good.
wow, it smells really nice in here. And it does now, because I've sprayed 2 sprays of Manscaped cologne.
And
what a great product.
feel the cap.
What a good company. It's great. Everything is it is quality. I feel bougie.
That is a wooden cap.
Knock on wood. I promise you we're not going to lead you astray on Manscaped. I have not a single
I never
thing.
used a Manscaped product before they sent us the stuff.
Me neither.
Oh, boy.
Not a single thing from Manscaped has not lived up to the hype that came before and the hype that we have brought back to you when unboxing things.
Just go buy some Manscaped. Use the code almost.
And beards got married in their underwear.
Beards doesn't like anything.
Comfortable.
This is a great
Beards
point.
likes 10 things in the world, and Manscaped is one of them.
That is the God's honest truth.
That is the best endorsement I can give anything.
It really is. And the other 10 things that he loves most in the world doesn't have a promo code almost, but Manscaped does. So manscaped.com, promo code almost. Get a great package.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
It is 6:27 on a Friday. Let's be bad.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's a question to round out the show tonight. Thanks again to our friends at Manscaped for they are just sponsors of the podcast, really, but we're opening the stuff on the show itself because they have taken care of us, and the product is awesome.
And the show is the podcast too. So
right, we're all together.
It's all there.
Rudy was sort of posing this question because we were talking about Manscaped boxers again because they are incredible.
Seriously, if you haven't tried them, just buy one even just to try them.
Can you buy individual ones? Or
You can't buy just one.
Don't bleep right. Get a 3-pack.
What you should do is go buy one of their one of their special offers, like the performance package, because it comes with like the lawnmower 4.0. You get a toiletry bag. And it comes with a free pair of boxers. So
by the way, also, before we get to the actual question I want to pose, I like the cologne even more as it sort of continued to float throughout the room.
Mm-hmm. I can still smell it. I have a bad sense of smell. And I can still smell it.
But it's not overpowering. You give it a second to kind of settle. It's really good. I just really like it. I'm just distracted by how much I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about the boxers that they have. And Rudy I don't think you really were pitching as if you had the final answer to this, but how often should you be getting new underwear / getting rid of old underwear?
Yeah, so like Manscaped has the ability to buy like a subscription, right? To where you can have it delivered to you every 1, 2, 3, or 6 months. So in theory, you could get 3 pairs of their boxer briefs every 3 months. And so basically the thought process was, well, like I don't need 3 every 3 months. But then it was like, well, I mean, I guess like you think about it, like you get one. Let's say I got 3 today, and 9 months from now or 3 months from now I get 3 more. 3 months from then I get 3 more. So now I've got 9. Well, 3 months from then, now all of a sudden I'm at 12. But it's been a year since I got the original ones. Should they just replace? Like, right? Like, do I need to replace? Like, I don't know.
Here's
don't know the answer to
Here's
that.
my strategy. I think. And Chaotic Warrior on Twitch by list. The underwear are 100% the best I've ever worn.
Because in theory, that might be perfect, right? You may be where you just always have 9 in rotation. And then every 3 months, just since you're just recycling.
I think we've called them boxers. They are boxer briefs.
Boxer briefs. Now,
which
of
is
course,
the only thing that I wear.
How do you keep those?
I don't wear shirts, pants.
Do you keep those like separated? Like, how do you know which 3 are the 3
new
oldest?
ones? Well, so here's my strategy. Basically, is that I will keep boxer briefs until they're like if there is a hole or if they're like they don't stretch quite right anymore, whatever.
Yes.
Don't hold on. You're not helping yourself or anyone else if you are trying to keep underwear too long. So it's just until until failure.
Yeah. I think
and then you restock with some Manscaped ones.
Yeah, they're so good. They're comfy.
We also all do have the hierarchy of like your good underwear, right? We've all admitted that in this course of the segment. I think that the pinnacle of life achievement is having good underwear every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that for us all to strive for.
Yeah.
And Manscaped solves that for us.
Seriously, they're the best boxer briefs I've ever had.
I can't stop thinking about how
they're so
Beards
comfortable.
just straight up was like, these are what
so
I'm going to wear.
Comfortable.
When I'm out here tying the knot.
I had that plan too.
Yeah, you can't accidentally wear them the day before. You got to have those for your wedding. So you can buy more.
I've grabbed them and had to put them back away because like I need these tomorrow.
With Beards' underwear?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.